let's strip away all of the madness. Would you call us friends?
Ugh.
Yes. Come on. We are. We're friends. We're pals.
We are.
You can plead the fifth on this. You don't have to answer this.
No, we are friends.
Do you understand that you are like catnip to me? Your very presence makes me insane. You've seen it, Sona, right?
It really is. It's very specific people. When they're around him, he lights up, and then he's like, oh, the amount of things he can think of. And you know what? You play along, and I think it just empowers him.
So this is a true story. Just before we started this podcast, here at our new podcast studio space here in Larchmont in Los Angeles, I see that you've just entered and you're walking down towards the podcast studio, and I get so excited I turn to Sona, who is eating what?
I was eating some chocolate. I was eating a Crunch bar and a small Snickers bar. I had them.
And what did I
hands.
do? I was so excited.
This was awful. In one hand, I had like a wrapper, and then you knocked the wrapper out of my hand, and then I grabbed the chocolate out of my mouth because I'm angry. Then you knock that out of my hand, and then you step on it, and you laugh. And
like a maniac.
Just like a maniac.
It was the behavior of, look, I am a 44-year-old grown man.
Oh, sir.
45. Oh, sir. I am a 78-year-old man who should know better. And I literally do become a giddy puppy when you're around, and I behave in an insane manner. And I hope you take it as a compliment that it should be.
Love it. I love it. But also, again, when you think back to where you were and where you are, I can't believe, like, I'm hanging out with you, you know? Like, I used to watch you on my TV.
You didn't own a television.
He's gesturing
That
to
was your
Sona.
takeaway?
My takeaway from that very nice statement was, you didn't own a television.
I know, he's being so nice.
No, that was, no, listen, that was, I don't take it for granted either. And we went out to dinner, we won't say with who, a very famous comedy person
Famous
just the other
people are
night.
the best.
You and I had a really nice dinner the other night with a famous person who won't be mentioned.
Great.
But we had a blast with Hader. It was great. And
Was it really?
He didn't say first name, though.
yeah. I won't say which Hader. But he went on his way, and then I walked you to your car, and we hugged each other. It was quite late at night.
Yeah.
And I hugged you, and I went, well, love you, Jack. You didn't say anything in return.
I don't remember that.
You blacked out.
Blacked out, and you just let me get behind the wheel?
Wait, did he really? Did that hurt your feelings? Were you waiting for it? Did it linger?
I knew he couldn't do it. He's a cartoon mule. He's not going to say, I love you
I
back.
couldn't believe it. Like, he probably first couldn't even process it. Was in denial, and then grief, and then...
Or making sure that you were being sincere.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe I've stung you so many times that you couldn't.
I think so.
Well, I love hanging out with you. You are one of my favorite people. Every time I see you, this is as sincere as I can be. Every time I lay eyes on you, I am a giddy kid at Christmas. And I don't care. I know at some point you and I are going to exchange real information about each other.
We did good. We did good
Today was good.
Today we did pretty well.
Yeah.
Today was good.
Today was the start. Today was the start. You're going to have to go through and pick through this.
God.
Find the moments and string it together like a conversation.
For real, this will not make sense to anybody.
This is one of the more lucid ones, really.
No.
It is pretty good. But anyway, and before we go, we have a special surprise guest.
Who?
Your first donkey.
Wow.
Out of control. I just did it because I don't know if they can see your reaction. This just absolute.
We're all so embarrassed.
Yeah, we really are.
We're all so embarrassed.
We were heading towards a beautiful denouement.
He can't do it.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Wonderful conclusion. And then you
sorry.
brayed like a donkey.
Like a donkey. You must have moments where you'be taken this crazy journey.
Too seriously?
Exactly. No, but I mean, you and I went to a Dodgers game together, and we're sitting in Dodger Stadium.
Next to Kendrick Lamar, by the way.
Yeah, next
I
to Kendrick
remember
Lamar.
that.
I remember
He was sitting
that.
next to it.
And then they start, and Bob Newhart was there. It was a kooky
It's one of those nights where
gathering
you're with Conan, Kendrick, and Newhart, and you're just asking yourself.
Oh, if I had a dime.
No, it was the craziest group. And so anyway, we're there.
Wait, are all four of you literally together, or they just happened to be there? Okay.
I went with Jack. We went, and it was such a cool night for me because we drove over, and on the way over, you were like, "Oh, I'll play you some new music I've been working on in the car." And first of all, rock and roll always beats comedy. Comedians don't get to do that. I can't say like, "Oh, I did an interview. Hold on a second, with David Spade, and I want to play you a couple of tracks from it. Let's really boost the bass on David Spade's voice." It doesn't work that way. So, but you get to play this amazing music, and I'm like, shit, it is better to be a rock star.
I don't know.
So anyway, we get to Dodger Stadium. We hook up with our posse, Kendrick Lamar, Bob Newhart, and
Oh my
but I
God.
remember sitting with you in Dodger Stadium, and they start to go doom 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 doom, and you're just sitting there, and I'm like, this has become an anthem that is ubiquitous across the globe, and everyone knows how it goes. And it's one of the most famous, licks, riffs, tunes ever. And I was just sitting with you going like, "Oh, right, this is you." I think I started to make up lyrics about money's coming in your pocket. And you're like, "I am making some money." But it reminded me like how fucking freaky that must be.
It's
Or do you just-
strange, yeah. My mother was a huge fan of the movie Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yeah, me too. I love
So
that movie.
I still love it to this day. And so he's obviously playing the character George M. Cohan, and who had written the big World War I song Over There. And at the last scene in the movie, I think he walks out of the White House, and there's a parade of soldiers singing Over There, and he's walking with them. Yeah, and
Yep.
we've got a soldier next to him. James Cagney says, "What's the matter, old timer? You don't know this song?"
Yeah.
And
And he wrote it.
Yeah, and he wrote it. And I think of that every time I hear that Seven Nation Army on a sports broadcast or something on TV. It has the same feeling that it's not mine anymore. I mean, it becomes folk music when things like that happen. It becomes something that the more people don't know where it came from, the happier I am. The more it just becomes ubiquitous. And I'm sure many people are chanting the melody, have no idea what the song is or where it came from or why or whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. And that's just amazing.
Right. And and it's funny because over time you will even lose your connection to where you were sitting when you came up with that.
Oh, it's
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or you guys probably banged that out and said
so quickly.
"Let's go get
We filmed it.
Let's go get a donut now." And that's the level of intensity,
We filmed that recording of that record a bunch, and I know that song was just filmed for a minute because it was not considered anything interesting at that moment. It was just other things we were working on we thought were way more interesting. And so you'll see that we saw the video too. It's like we should have filmed a little bit more of this song being recorded than we did. But no one ever knows that the labels didn't want to release it as a single when we were coming out with the album. They had picked a different song. So you just goes to show you, even when you've got it right in front of your face, sometimes you still don't know because it's not about, really you can market something or you can brand something or you can push it or you can try to support it and build it into something bigger. But you really have no idea what's going to connect with other people.
I don't have a lot of regrets in life, but there's a saying, no regrets, and I've never understood it because I do have regrets. And one is when we were doing our show at TBS, you contacted me, and I had no idea you were serious. You said, "I'd like to do the upholstery. I'd like to make you your talk show couch." And I was like, "That's so hilarious, man. That's great." And then later on, you were like, no, I was serious. I would have made you would have made that. And I felt like such a lost opportunity to have a talk show where Jack White made my talk show couch.
I'm looking at 4 upholstered chairs right now. It's not too late.
That's true. Yeah, we should put you to work. But you were just
fabric, no welting on the edges. It's all right.
Serious.
this guy. First of all, you did an apprenticeship for how many years as an upholsterer?
Many years. Yeah, I started when I was 15, and I had my own shop when I was 21. then that's when the real learning begins, is when you open your own place, because you have nobody to ask advice about anymore. So you're
Right, so you opened your own shop.
Yeah.
Did it do well?
It did okay, yeah, but it did only sort of. I was so strange with it that it was, I was doing sculpture as well. So people were kind of, I started, everything became an art form with me. I was filling the insides of the furniture with poetry and the bills I was writing in crayon, like it would be yellow paper with black crayon, and you owe me $300. And I would present it to them, and I delivered a piece in a yellow and black uniform with a yellow van that was the old Detroit Fire Department van. And it was, people were like, what? And it's like not people probably would have got return customers for some of these people, but no return customers. But they would pass my name on, and it seemed funny because it always got just enough money from it to pay the bills. It was never any more than that. It was always broke even or less.
Are there people out there right now that have a couch that you've put poetry in and they don't know it?
Oh yeah, certainly.
Oh, right now people are listening to this just ripping their couches apart. Have you ever made like a leather quilted door? Those like
I've done those. Really? Button tufting, it's called. Yeah. And
button tufting, asshole.
This is the first time
you
I
cut me
agree
off
with you.
before I could say it.
I'm an asshole for not saying that. I'm sorry.
So you did that for a while, and you're obviously pursuing music at the same time?
Yes. And that was kind of tough because I had a studio, so I was doing sculpture in there, like constructed sculpture and sort of carpentry-based stuff and garbage picking and putting that together in sort of hardware store art. I was thinking of it being sort of hardware store art and working on furniture there to pay the bills. And then also sometimes I would bring a guitar in there too, but that usually was a mistake because I would quit working on the furniture and go and play guitar and realize, oh my God, I've been playing for 2 hours sitting here. I should get back to work. And eventually that got to the point where the White Stripes got enough offers to go and play shows that I was taken away from the furniture enough that actually we started making enough money playing shows, which was shocking to us,
Yeah.
And so that was. So then I eventually closed the shop up, but I kept everything and I rebuilt it in Nashville behind my house. So I still have it now. Do you still do it sometimes? Do you still do some upholstery to just kill time? Oh, yeah. I did a lot of projects during the pandemic. Actually, 2020, the first year of the pandemic, I worked on nothing but furniture, really. And
let me rephrase my question.
Yeah.
Do you take commissions on leather button-tufted doors?
At times, yes. At times.
The 70s are filled with, let's just try it. And in this crazy kind of way, like
it's true.
The Brady Bunch, which had been off the air for like 5 years, and someone said, "What if they had a variety show, and we dressed them all kind of like Evel Knievel, like in jumpsuits,
right?
And we put them in a giant soundstage with a Olympic-sized swimming pool, and we got a bunch of synchronized swimmers, women as synchronized swimmers, to do Esther Williams stuff from the 1940s,
right?
And we'll have them all sing songs and dance." You mean the kids from the Brady Bunch know how to sing songs and dance? No, I have no idea. That's not important. It's the 70s. We're all on coke. Who cares?
Right, and then they're like, Eve Plum won't do it. She says it compromises her. Because just get another blonde lady.
They did. They replaced Eve Plum.
Just get someone else.
The middle daughter, and they got a different person to play her, and they never addressed.
Integrity reasons she wouldn't.
No,
do
I don't know why she wouldn't do it.
I think at the time she thought. She heard Olympic-sized pool, and she said, this probably doesn't sound good. If they had come to her like 3 years later, she'd have said, where do I sign? But it was just a crazy time.
I went out to dinner last night, and our waitress was raised on a houseboat. And I said, oh, like Quincy. And the blank stare that she gave me, Quincy M.E.?
Yeah, that's the problem. There's a generational gap.
Do you not know who Quincy is?
I don't know who
Jack
Quincy
Klugman
is.
played.
Jack Klugman.
Do you know Jack Klugman?
No.
Do you know The Odd Couple?
Yeah.
We're talking about human lives here.
I don't know what you're doing.
That's Quincy.
Quincy's.
That's Quincy.
Oh, Quincy.
Quincy was a show about a medical examiner.
Of
He was
course.
played by Jack Klugman, and it was kind of a big show.
Huge.
And he lived on, to give him some color, they had him live on a houseboat.
He was a ladies' man.
And he was a ladies' man.
Okay, he was a ladies' man.
But
medical examiner.
My favorite, I saw a trailer once for a Quincy episode, this in real time in the late 70s, and they said, and tune in tonight. Quincy goes to the track for some fun, and it shows a horse racing, and it shows the actor who plays Quincy, Jack Klugman, going, go, 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 when the horse goes down, and you see the horse collapse, and you see like literally hooves in the air, and then they say, Quincy, they just have a shot of Quincy, and he's looking down at the horse, and he looks up dramatically, and he went, this horse was murdered.
That's so good.
And I was
I
like,
can't believe
it was
I
like,
don't know
It was like
this.
1980, and I was jumping up and down in front of my TV set. This horse was murdered.
But that's one of the shows that. What was the show you did with Adam West? It was
Look Well. Yeah.
Look
We
Well.
Did Robert Smigel and I did a pilot for Adam West called Look Well about
and Quincy was one, like Banachek, Quincy, all those shows.
Mannix.
Mannix were like they were part of what inspired you.
Yes, there were.
A guy who doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
But he's like in part of the system. He does a
No, you know what he is?
but he does it
government
his
job.
way.
And also, people are always saying to him, Quincy, come on. It was a clear heart attack. No, it wasn't. And I'll prove it. And then he goes rushing off. And it's so much. Go on YouTube and look at these Quincy clubs. There's one.
I'm okay.
Go
the
ahead.
Quincy clips.
I'm okay.
No, go do
No,
that
no,
right
no.
now.
I'm busy that day.
No. Just
Yeah.
put the kids to sleep early.
No,
like
wake,
at 3 in
wake
the
them
afternoon.
up early.
You know what you would like, Gorley?
Change my kids'
Gorley,
sleeping
you know what you would
schedule.
like? And then we'll move on to more prosperous areas. But I swear to God, there's a clip out there. There's an episode where Quincy encounters the phenomenon of like punk music and punk dancing. And something bad happens to somebody. And no, I'm not kidding. They actually tried to recreate it, but it's like 1970s TV writers' conception of. And it's the band is like yelling death, death, murder, hate. And Quincy's in the audience going, what's happening? What's wrong?
This song was murdered.
This song was murdered.
Very
They're doing
nice.
Cole Porter.
Right. It's like when Elizabeth Berkley on Saved by the Bell got addicted to
That I know.
caffeine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like.
See, now you're edging up into territory that Sona
Yes.
knows.
Now I know.
I'm trying to bring
Yeah.
it up a little bit.
Thank you for
It
doing
reminds me of the time Big Time Rush made that movie where they went to London and the bad guys tried to get them.
Huh?
Now I went too far into.
that. I know who Big Time Rush is, but I don't know what movie you're talking about.
Well,
it's
good to know about everything, Sona.
My kids don't know any of the stars that I know or think.
Well,
of.
that's what's interesting to me is that, like, in your books, you're touching on all these characters that I know, and then I think I don't know, and I grew up knowing about stuff in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and once it's happening in your lifetime, you know it. But sometimes I get the suspicion that now a lot of kids don't know about anything that happened before them. Is that just me being a cranky old guy?
I think that might be you being a little bit of a. I mean, people know older things, but the things that you know are like shows that ran for one season that no one else talks about.
Quincy was a huge show.
Quincy was big. Yeah.
Was it, guys?
Yeah.
Quincy was a
Okay.
big show.
It was a
Okay.
huge show.
I
I
mean,
think
but
I-
there was also like 3 channels. So
That's true.
Everyone
It was a
had
different
to watch
time.
Quincy.
And Quincy was so big it was on all 3 channels.
on
at
all
the
3
same
channels.
time.
Quincy.
Simulcast.
But the opposite's also true. I don't know what it's like with your kids, but my kids know people that I have no idea what they're talking. You know, when you go to the CVS or whatever and like the magazine cover, and I'm like, I have no idea who. There are 30
Well,
people
that's
on the cover.
Yes.
You know what?
I don't know who any of them
That's
are.
reality television.
But
I think
okay.
because a lot of it is, Janet tells Kristen she better back off because Nico is hers, and it's something from Below Deck, the underwater series, whatever. And I don't know
That's
what
a
any
good
of it
show.
is.
That's a really good
can't
show.
be.
Sona doesn't know who I am. she's still figuring it out.
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you again? I think it's funny because I was wondering, these books must be because your day job, I would think, gets very intense.
Yes.
And then so you spend a day talking about is
the end of democracy.
the system that was constructed 240 years ago possibly crumbling, and then it's okay, you can go home now, and maybe it's fun to go into a room and be these imaginary
Yep.
people that live in a different time.
Yep, and just yes, and during this political era, it's nice to run away from it all. Although there's a lot of resonance for what is going on today in this book, because the two plots. So it's Ike and Lucy tell the story. They're brother and sister. Ike is with Evel Knievel in Montana, and that becomes like kind of a plot about demagogues and people who follow demagogues. Like, why would you follow? Like, Evel Knievel decides he's going to run for president, kind of like a publicity stunt, and he and this gang of people who are living in the woods of Montana, including Ike, start following him to Washington, D.C. to raise hell. And so that was a way to kind of explore that topic. And then Lucy is working for a brand new tabloid in Washington, D.C. called the Washington Sentinel, which is being started by a British media magnate named Max Lyon, who is very obviously loosely based on Rupert Murdoch. So
in the book, you originally called him Goopert Gurdoch.
You saw an early draft.
And then your lawyers got involved. Goopert Gurdoch. Hello, mate. Goopert Gurdoch's the name.
Oh my God, I've never heard your Australian accent.
Oh, was
It's
that Australian?
I thought that was fantastic.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
But no, but 77. Do you get into any Star Wars in there?
Star Wars is
they're
mentioned.
mentioned.
It's mentioned at the beginning.
Just checking due diligence.
Ike and Rachel, the girl he's in love with, reference going to see Star Wars. Also, a film that I'm sure you're familiar with called Tentacles. Have you heard of Tentacles?
I don't think I have.
One of a million Jaws knockoffs.
Oh, okay.
Horrible movie, starred Henry Fonda. Like, it has all these huge actors. It's about a giant octopus.
I imagined.
And what you might not know is that octopi don't even have tentacles. They have arms. So it wasn't even named correctly.
Why
Why, what?
why everything?
Well, it was just, again, this is called the late 70s.
Yes.
And that summer of 77, I remember really well because I was and am a huge Elvis fan, and that's the summer that Elvis died.
Which is also a plot point in the book.
Oh.
And
The big caravan of Evel Knievel, they stop at Graceland and mourn Elvis.
and then he jumps over the casket
God.
and crashes.
You know,
Even though it's-
Graceland, by the way, at the time was not a museum. It was just where he lived.
That's where he lived. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My
So-
house is now a museum even before I go.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
Just-
your presidential
And I'm the
library?
one, it's like when you go room to room and you push a button, it's me there. This is where I read the paper.
Have you ever been in Graceland?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the White House, surprisingly small.
Yeah, it is very small. I mean, you can imagine when Elvis got Graceland and he's like 20
Right.
and he buys this house, he couldn't imagine a bigger home. And then all these years later, now that we live in this era of like McMansions and people being in big spaces, Graceland is like, oh, this is cozy.
It's nothing like Coneland.
No.
Which I've been to.
I'm going to build a Coneland.
Yeah.
I'm going to build it. It's going to be
Coneland is quite nice. I'm sure.
it's going to be in
Have
the
they all-
Smoky Mountains.
Have they all been to Coneland? Have they
You've been to Coneland many times.
Yeah. I've been
Yeah.
Yeah, you both have been to my home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Of course.
Been there a few times you don't even know it.
Oh. That's
I saw you.
Weird.
The camera caught you once.
I wanted that to happen.
Coneland is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a big tourist attraction. I'm the only guy that is trying to get the celebrity star bus to go by. I'm like waving them in.
Yeah.
Hello.
Actually, you send out Sona to give maps.
I do.
Yeah.
to the map people,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just your house.
Right. Or sometimes I just say I'm Adam Sandler's house, and then from behind the hedge I go.
By the way, he killed at the Sandler Mark Twain Award. You did a great job.
It was fun. It was a really fun night.
Conan did a great job. He definitely put a lot of work into it in a good way. I mean,
Yeah, you got to. You got to prepare. You got to prepare. It's the way I prepare for these things.
but I'm just saying,
Mr. Tipper, with his new book, all the demons,
demons,
be
all
here.
the demons. Are
Yes,
here.
all the demons are here. I was in Washington D.C. not long ago for to help usher in Adam Sandler getting the Mark Twain Award, because Mark Twain, Adam Sandler are often mentioned in the same breath. And it was a really fun event. A lot of people came out for it, including the ghost of Twain, who was not happy. But that aside, because I was in D.C., I reached out to Jake. I let him know that I was in town, and you invited me over to your home.
Yeah, he came over to the house.
Oh.
We had dinner at our favorite restaurant.
Mhm.
And then
Chipotle.
he was
It's actually it's a very good restaurant where Wolf Blitzer shows you to your table. It's called Blitzers, and they just sell blintzes.
That's it. But many flavors.
Yeah. Oh, so much. There's 36 flavors of blintz, and he shows you to the table, and then it's embarrassing because he hangs around until you tip him. But we had you guys. We were very nice because you invited me to your home, and I don't think I told you this, but I got there. I took an Uber over, and sometimes Uber's not precise, and I took an Uber over from my hotel to the address that you gave me for your house, and I realized I'm like 10 minutes early, so I'm just going to walk down the street. It's a really nice neighborhood, and I'm walking down the street a little bit, and this father-son come walking up the street. They're walking their dog, and they said, hey, if you're lost, Jake's up that way.
Wow.
And they pointed me to your house.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I guess it's so clear that I'd be the only person I'd here to, be seen with is Jake Tapper. But anyway, we went out, we had a really good time. It was fun. And then this is where you and I are in such symbiosis. You said after dinner, we went back to your house and you said, here, I want to show you something. And we walk around the neighborhood. And you said, see that house right there? That's where Lyndon Johnson lived when he was in the Senate. And then he was like, let's go this way. And then he shows me another house. And he was like, see that house? That was
J. Edgar Hoover.
J. Edgar Hoover's house. And I said,
Clyde.
And Clyde. And I was like, this is fantastic. And of course, I know that about you because in your books, and these you're here to talk about, among many other things, you've got a new book, All the Demons Are Here, and you're picking up on these characters. He's actually the children of the two characters you've been describing and depicting in your other books. But you have all these great pop culture references and political references to the 1950s and 60s in the other books. And I love that stuff. Yeah. I can't get enough of it.
You were one of the first. I sent a copy of the first book to the Hellfire Club, which takes place in '54 and has our favorite president, President Eisenhower, as a character in the book, and that was really exciting because it was basically a book written for me and you.
Yeah. No, I actually fact-checked the book. I was like, wait a minute. No, he had his heart attack in his second term. I saved you from massive lawsuits.
That was close.
My life has changed so much, Sona.
Has it?
Yeah. Let me tell you how. I can just get all this stuff delivered right to my door. I mean, if you grew up when I did in the early 1920s, that was unheard of, A kid in a cap had to, hey, boy, and you'd say, yes, sir, and you'd have to say, toss him a coin. Go get me that goose in the window. And he'd say, yes, sir, Mr. Scrooge. But that was like back then.
Yeah, but now it's not.
With so much of our world digitized and automated, why stick to old school mailing and shipping? If you mail or ship often, let Stamps.com do the hard part for you. Mm-hmm. Simply print postage and shipping labels right from your home or office. It's ready to go in minutes. No long lines or complicated setup required. It's the easiest, Sona.
It's the best.
Yeah. Postage rates just increased again. Hello. Luckily, Stamps.com has the best discounts in the industry. Avoid the hassle and get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up at Stamps.com/Conan for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com/Conan. Jake does a very good job of, and I'm about talking like you're not in the room, but I'm instructing. These two don't read. They don't know how to read.
They don't. I don't read.
Well, no, you read the novelizations of old Dynasty episodes.
Okay.
But
no.
That sounds pretty good.
They're actually very good.
Yeah.
So you do too.
Yes.
He writes them.
I write them.
Is that a real thing?
No, it's not.
No,
but it will be.
I don't think so.
It will be.
That's $1 million idea.
Well, let's do it. You heard it here first.
That's really good. Have you ever? Those clips pop up every now and then, like an old Dynasty.
Oh, they're fantastic.
No, they don't, Jake.
Not on TV, on like Twitter or whatever.
Oh.
They'll be like Alex Carrington. Is that the name of the characters?
Alexis
Carrington. And
I loved how many times one of them got shoved into a pool. They just decided that was what you do is when one woman with wearing a dress with massive shoulder blades and a massive ring, who's an icon, pushes another into a pool.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of pools were handy.
Yes.
Then, it seems.
And sadly filled with acid. You'd hear, and then a skeleton would float to the top. Listen, we got way off topic. What I was trying to say to you guys is that Jake takes all of these true life events, and he writes these novels, and All the Demons Are Here is one of them, and they're really, I enjoy them so much because he has got the characters bumping into people from in the, let's say, late 40s, early 50s. Then this was the second book was in the 60s.
Second book is The Devil May Dance, and yeah, that's the Rat Pack. And
Rat Pack.
Sinatra's like a big character in it, yeah.
Right, and I love you have members of the Rat Pack out trying to help solve the crime, which was really funny to me. That it's just like, no, I think they wouldn't have been in any shape. Dean Martin's like, now hold on a second.
And then this one's 77, and like the main character, one of the main characters is Evel Knievel.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Evel Knievel's one of the main
Now you weren't alive because this takes place in 77, and it takes place after Evel Knievel's jump of Snake
I was
River
born
Canyon.
in 73.
Okay,
So
but
you were one when the Snake River jump
But
happened.
boy, was I there.
Yeah. I remember
Biggest fan.
there is footage of a little boy wearing a tweed suit and large glasses that only an adult would wear.
I stowed away in his saddlebags and made the jump with him.
Yeah. They said he would have made it, but he was unfortunately a pound and a half too heavy. And it was all tweed. I remember that. Now you and I have
this goddamn sweater.
you and I would have similar memories because in this book it takes place in 77, and I remember 1977 very well because all these epic things happened. But you do reference the Snake River jump, which was a couple of years earlier, and that was such a huge event. I remember as a kid, they told us that they were going to put Evel Knievel in a rocket and fire him over a canyon. And nothing sparked our imagination more than that. And there was I don't think it was broadcast. All I know is that we were visiting my cousin in Worcester, Mass, and we raced out to the car to listen to what happened. And they said, well, looks like he didn't make it. And I thought,
They thought he died.
They thought he died because he misses. I don't even think he came close.
No, he did not. It was like one of those rockets from like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote rockets, like really makeshift. And one of the other things that's so weird about it is that this was actually considered like an athletic event. Like he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. This is not a sport. This wasn't, first of all, he was barely a good motorcycle rider to begin with. Like he just was like
He was willing to try.
Yes.
And it's so funny because in this book, one of your main characters, one of the two children,
Ike,
and Ike is working with, and you make this point that he's not even riding motorcycles, and I'm guessing that you have done the research on this. Ike is complaining because he has to kind of check out the machinery and everything, and he's working for Evel Knievel, and he has to check out the machinery, and I'm guessing you researched this, that he's riding bikes you're not even supposed to jump in.
No, they're not good. They're not good for jumping.
It's like Harleys and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's really weird, but he was just willing to do it, and he built this, incredible career that kind of, in 77, is kind of the beginning of the end of it. 74 was like his big, there are people our age, Conan, who think that they remember him jumping over the Grand Canyon, but that never happened. It was Snake River, and he never made it. It was in a rocket ship, not on a motorcycle.
Yeah, let's clear that up. Because we have people. No, we get people texting us all the time.
Yeah, Evil himself.
Yeah, I interviewed Evel Knievel on the Late Night Show.
Did you really?
And all I remember is it was not long before he passed, and he didn't move very well.
No.
And I remember because I think the thing that every kid knew, this is how big Evel Knievel was. We all knew everything about Evel Knievel. I had his toy. There was
The ripcord, the wind up.
yeah, you would wind up a motorcycle and you could do jumps with it. And I spent thousands of hours with my Evel Knievel wind up. And it would crash just like Evel would and fly into pieces. But Evel Knievel, what we all knew is that he had broken every bone in his body like 15 times.
And so there's a scene at the beginning of the book that's based on a real event, which is in January 77, he literally jumps sharks. Then this is like 7 months before Fonz did it.
Wow.
Like he set up a pool in Chicago. And I think ABC maybe had soured on him, so he was doing it for CBS. It was a special, It was going to be hosted by Telly Savalas and Jill St. John,
Naturally.
of course.
And by the way, they were the original hosts of this podcast. It was Telly Savalas. It was Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend with Telly Savalas and Jill St. John.
And he was going, and it was, and everything, because this is post Jaws. Jaws was, huge bestselling
75,
book.
yeah.
And huge film, and so everything was Jaws, and so he came up with this idea. And so much of the stuff in the book having to do with Evel Knievel was just real from his actual press conferences, from his actual events. And he in rehearsals hurt himself. And so the entire special went on, but he wasn't part of it. And
Yeah, because who needs Evel Knievel in an Evel Knievel special?
He didn't jump the shark at all.
he did, but he landed wrong. His problem was always the landing,
But you mean he hurt himself?
not
in
the jumping.
Okay. In the rehearsal and then went on to do it, or didn't?
No, was rushed to the hospital with broken bones.
What
and
was the special? What did they do?
all the other side acts.
Yeah. And occasionally they'd cut away to the hospital. And the doctor would say, we're extracting a shark's fin. You know what's funny that's in the book that you talk about, and it's a really funny scene, is them trying to get the sharks, and they don't get good sharks.
No, they're awful sharks.
They're like small sharks that
They're like little lemon sharks.
They're in no way. He's basically jumping, koi with larger dorsal fins.
And they had a camera in the pool just in case he landed in the pool. You could see the shark eat him.
Oh my God.
And the sharks were treated horribly, and like a bunch of them died on their way from Florida to Chicago, where they held this in the middle of the winter in January.
Stuff you couldn't get around. I mean,
Jesus.
now if you want to abuse a shark, it's much harder.
Oh, good. Okay, you looked into it.
Oh, trust me. I have a beef with those sharks. I want to make sure I mention this. All the demons are here. This book is out. There's a large chunk at the end, which is telling you, it's giving you basically factual follow-ups. Wouldn't you say that's true?
What, are you talking about the end notes?
Yeah, end notes.
The end notes are just, I put those at the end of every book so people
Right.
can know what's real and what's not real from all the stuff I write about, because there's historical fiction. It's historical fiction, so there's real things. And if you want to know, did Jake make up Viva Knievel, or is that a real movie? And you just go, no, Viva Knievel was a real film. And then I do the review from the 1977 Daily Variety. In the most daring feat of his career, Evel Knievel leaps over a mountain of blazing cliches and a cavernous plot. That's so real.
You know what? I think that critic had made up their mind before they went. I think they went, to hate Evel Knievel's movie. I would have written a wonderful review for that movie. Well,
I think Gene Kelly was in it.
well, there was an era. Do you remember was it The Swarm? It was about bees, killer bees coming up, and they got huge stars to be in these things.
All the Irwin Allen disaster
And also, all the
films.
Irwin Allen disaster films had the biggest Hollywood stars of the 30s and 40s and 50s were in disaster movies in the late 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And it's mostly them saying, my God, how could this have happened?
Think about The Towering Inferno. It had Paul Newman and Steve McQueen
And O.J. Simpson.
and Fred Astaire.
That's right.
Keep going. That's it.
Fire.
Roddy McDowell's in all of them.
Right. And George Kennedy.
George Kennedy is in almost every disaster movie.
But you talked about the killer bees thing in The Swarm.
We've alienated so many people on this podcast.
So can I just
today.
tell you about The Swarm?
Yeah.
I mean, not The Swarm, but the killer bees. So in the 70s, this was a legitimate fear. Who's old enough to only? Are you the only? No, you maybe you two.
No. I love that you pointed to Blay, who's actually about 22. But
Do you remember
he went through a horrifying
I
experience
remember
2
Killer
years
Bees.
ago.
Do you remember Killer
Yeah.
Bees? Okay,
Yeah,
so
killer bees were a big thing that were going to kill us all.
So right, they were coming from South America. They did a horror movie about it called The Swarm. There was an NBC did a special about it. And researching this book, I found out that it was all pretty much invented by Rupert Murdoch to sell papers
Oh my God.
He sucks.
in San Antonio.
I'm not prepared to say that.
The first newspaper,
Cooper.
he bought these San Antonio newspapers, and they basically scared the shit out of the country to sell papers. And the killer bees were a real thing, but it was going to take years for them to get to the United States, and you only really, it wasn't like one would sting you. It'd be like 1,000 would have to sting you to kill you. Anyway,
No. It was I remember it was again an incredibly cheesy, kooky movie about the killer bees coming and taking over towns. And I remember there's at one point, I think it was Michael Caine was a scientist in it, and he said,
The Swarm, is that
and I don't
right?
do a Michael Caine impression. It'll just be Nixon again. But no, but Michael Caine says, I can't believe it was the bees. They've always been our friends. Like, like of all the insects, it was the bees.
It's more like I can't believe it was the bees.
Oh.
It was the bees.
You know, it's just a slow. I'm really shocked. But it's not a
Can't
good
believe
That's good.
Okay, but there you go.
it was the bees.
Well,
that's
no, that
cool.
took a turn.
Well, I'll try again.
There you go.
Okay.
There it is. There it is.
Bees. I love bees, Mary Poppins.
All right.
All right.
Fool.
Do you remember the
When I'm the voice of reason here, then the shit has hit the fan.
Do you remember the horror movie starring Michael Caine called The Hand?
I just watched that.
Did you watch? Really?
Yes,
I haven't seen that.
Oh, I adore that movie.
He
It's
is a
horrible.
cartoonist
Uh-huh.
who loses his hand in a car accident,
Mm-hmm.
and then the hand starts killing people.
Mm-hmm.
The hand escapes and starts killing people. And then, should we do the spoiler alert or?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
Well,
worry
you're
about
not
it.
sure whether it's
Is it in
he's
his head?
imagining it or it's manifesting his
Like, is
desire
he
to
killing?
kill
Is he
people.
killing people?
Yeah.
And he's imagining that it's his hand creeping along.
I'm going to say no. I'm going for it's actually the hand.
correct, but you don't find
Yeah.
that out to like the last minute of the movie.
It's
Guess
the
who
70s, I
directed
didn't
and
need
wrote
to-
it? Oliver Stone.
Yep.
Who plays a cameo as a bum in that movie
Yep.
too. Yeah.
We
Oh,
We got more time. Let's cover some movies.
we've got
Atlanta, you're live.
Atlanta, you're on the air.
This is what talking to you does, Jake.
I know.
Because your books are filled with all this stuff, then the next thing you know, we're talking about the hand.
Yeah.
And so we might as well get the word out on the hand.
Yeah.
I think
Written and
okay.
directed by Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
And that same old story about a cartoonist who loses his hand, 1981, and the hand, of course, goes out and kills people.
Yeah.
So check that out. I'm sure that's one of those movies that when you look for it on streaming, you will not find it.
Oh, I got places.
You got places.
We know you have
dark
places.
web. You go to Sona's house and check out her dark web, where she has the squishy porn. Reddit,
I'm gonna watch
Reddit subreddit.
tonight. I'm gonna
squish
watch
porn.
Wonka chunka squish porn.
Wonka chugga. High five. All right. Jake Tapper, book. It's a thriller. All the demons are here. It's a book. Go and read it. Book. No, you're a New York
Jake
Times
Tapper,
best-selling author.
book.
Yep.
This is a big deal.
Yep.
It's a cool thing.
Well, thank you so much. You guys are you're very kind.
We're not professional.
No.
I don't know that we've helped you in any way,
Yeah,
but
I
we
think
all,
your listeners read books. I think they do.
they do. They're very.
we're trying
think
to
you're a
we're,
smart
we're
group.
trying we're trying to weed them out.
We're trying to change that. Yeah.
I think you have smart
We
listeners.
do. We
I
have
really do.
actually. We're very. We have very cool fans and very erudite fans, I believe. All right, Jake Tapper.
Thanks, guys.
God
It's great
bless
to
and
be
go
here.
in peace.
Thank you so much.
I couldn't believe this because this will get people's attention if you want to mark how things have changed. The final episode of Cheers, watched by 84.4 million people.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
Now, I heard anecdotally the other day someone was talking about a network show, one of those kind of reality game show type shows. I don't remember which one, that it got picked up for another season, and it got a 0.5 in the demo and got picked up. That's the world we're in
Yes,
now.
it is.
That if you can get 9 people watching a television show, you are, everyone wants to hand you a cigar and pop the champagne. And it must seem otherworldly to you.
It's. I think was it David Zaslav who's running Discovery now said there's 580 shows on the air now.
Yeah.
And there's what I don't know how many networks, 100, maybe 150. I always say when I started out there were 3 networks and 30 great comedy writers. Now there are 150 networks and 30 great comedy writers.
Yeah. Yeah. But that goes to this image I've had for a long time is what changed is the technology. This delivery system changed so that suddenly, instead of there being 3 networks, not suddenly, but very quickly, and especially with streaming, there was the capability because of the delivery system and the economics. That's what changed, and suddenly there could be 600 shows. But why would you suddenly expect humankind to suddenly get 500 times more talented? It's not, and I always think of it as people wondering, I don't understand, technology just enabled us to widen the bathtub by 50 feet. what happened to the water level? And you're like, this is what it is. Now I think there's a lot of really brilliant stuff out there, but it's still hard to find because the volume is insane. The volume of just noise, and there's just I'm always cast adrift if I don't know specifically what show I'm looking for. You can't scroll. I used to just scroll through television back in the day,
Right.
and you could find something that caught you. There's no way you would scroll now. It's like saying, I'm just going to wander the Mojave Desert and see what happens.
My wife and I have done that, and we've wasted the entire evening scrolling and never watched anything. And it just became like walking through the video store or something.
Yeah, it's because the shows that are hits, like Ozark, and it has 5 million bytes on Netflix, or it's just those are rare, and probably if you cull it all down, it's probably the same as when there were 3 networks.
Yeah.
All the good shows, because that's where all the shows went. All the good shows went on those 3 networks. So it's just now so diverse that you can find a specific show for your idiosyncrasy and watch it. And maybe 4 other people are watching it.
When I first got started back in 1985, there was always this kind of sense out there that the place people really wanted to get to was movies. Because that was somehow more prestigious, and that would be something that you'd hear sometime is, have you ever thought of writing a movie or get into the movies? And I always thought, there's nothing better for a writer than television. As you know, you can do such good work in television, and because of the way it's structured, writers have a lot more power in television than they do in movies.
Oh, yes.
In movies, they're completely rewritten. They're at the very bottom of the totem pole in movies, and have always been treated with a kind of disdain. And let's just get another writer in here, and let's completely redo it. But writers are at the center of television, and so much of, one thing I really love about your book is you just reprint pages of great dialogue from all these shows, and I'm reading them, and it's like you say, it's just great radio writing. The rhythm is all there. It's terrific, solid writing that is as good today as it was when it was first done, and it's all was brilliantly realized. Whereas if it were a movie, I think the chances are a lot of that could have been rewritten, tossed out, cut out.
The dialogue in the book is from the shows, from some of the shows I've done, but that's tried and true, because those sequences got huge laughs. And when we're doing a show, if you write a joke and it doesn't get a laugh, you go back and rewrite the joke. And if it doesn't get a laugh, you go back and rewrite the joke. You don't rely on the writers. You rely on 200 and 300 people behind you. In movies, you're relying on the director and the writer, and it may not, appeal to an audience, but that dialogue in there got huge, huge laughs, especially Will and Grace, which is just probably the funniest show I ever did.
Really? You think Will and Grace, I've loved that show, but thinking of all of them, you think that was it the writing or the writing plus the cast?
It's the cast. It's outrageous. It's the first really, other than Third Rock from the Sun, which I did, the pilot of, it's the most outrageous show I ever did. I like to say it's a fairy tale, figuratively and literally. It's a show with 4 girls.
Yeah.
And it's just, the jokes are so hard and so strong, especially Karen's jokes and Jack's jokes. And, Cheers is my favorite and will always be my favorite, because I'm part of birthing that show. But Will and Grace, laughs per page is the funniest show, because Cheers we were about 4 minutes longer than Will and Grace. We were about 26 minutes. Will and Grace was 21 and a half minutes. So you could go a couple of pages without a joke on Cheers. which we did. A lot of Sam and Diane scenes are very riveting, and tension filled. But there's always, after a page or 2 pages, there's a joke that undercuts it all and makes it. It relieves you from the anger, from the dramatic moment. But on Will and Grace, you couldn't do that. You didn't have enough time, so it's just joke after joke, and just the funniest show per joke.
The compression, the comedy compression is there, and that show had such a fascinating arc because it ran. Had a great run, big hit, beloved. It leaves, and then it comes back a number of years later. And I was hard pressed to think of another show that did that.
The Connors.
Yeah,
the Connors.
That's right.
Their show's just as good, even without Roseanne. It's amazing because they have that. It's one of my favorite shows because they have that style. They underplay everything. Everything is like this, Goodman is like this, and Laurie's like this. There's not effort, but there's this rhythm in that show. They don't hit you over the head with the jokes. It's just, wow.
You very much regretted that you didn't get to direct. You wanted to be the guy that directed most of the Friends episodes, but you weren't able to commit to that early on in the show. You did the pilot, and you did a number of those shows.
I did 15 of them.
You did 15 of them. Did you know right away when they got that group together that...
I knew. I have, on all the sitcoms I do, on all the pilots I do, I have a test audience 3 days before we shoot the show. I have a single camera, and that helps me if there's a set that the whole audience can't see. The camera will go down there and just shoot a master so the audience can see it. And on that show, it was through the roof. That's that single camera audience. They love those characters. They love them. And, I did the first, I think, 3 or 4. And, there's a story about me taking the cast to Vegas because I knew there was something special about this show. That happened on Will and Grace. That happened on Cheers. The only show that happened on that wasn't a success was a show called The Class, which was written by David Crane and Jeffrey Clarick. David Crane was one of the writers on Friends, one of the geniuses on Friends. And that had a great audience, but it never made it. But you can sense in doing the shows whether the audience reacts to it. And I knew then and there how good that show was. And I often, you talked about casting before and how lucky you are. That show was done in '94, and I had agreed to do 4 pilots already. And Martin and David sent me that script. And I said to my agent, wow, I have to do this show. It was, in fact, 95% of the script that was sent to me ended up on the air. So I said, I have to do it. So it was the last pilot I did in 1994, and those 6 people were available. So that'll tell you how lucky you have to be.
Yeah.
Jen had another show that we were in second position. She was doing a show called Muddling Through on CBS, which somehow they got her out of, and Matt Perry had done another pilot, and that pilot didn't go. But those 6 people...
And you think about if something had been just a little different, that chemistry wouldn't have been there.
No.
And these are now iconic TV characters. But you're right. People don't realize how much of... I think this occasionally when you find out that Humphrey Bogart was like the 9th choice to be in Casablanca, and he was not thought of as he was not a leading man, but that's how it worked. He was available, and a bunch of the other people they wanted were not available, and so that's how we get Humphrey Bogart as Rick in Casablanca, and it's the same thing with these television shows. It's a million things have to go wrong for it to go right.
Yeah, it was amazing. That it's so I often people how did you find they think of them now as stars, and how did you get them to agree to do Friends? But they weren't. They were Lisa was on a Cheers. She was on a Cheers. She played an actor in Woody Harrelson was in a community theater, and she was the actress with Woody, and so. It's just they were unknown. Nobody knew these people. And all of a sudden, bang. That's the kind of show I like. I like a show where you bring a cast of people nobody's ever seen before.
Right.
Because then the audience feels like they've created a hit by liking these people, and they've created stars. So that's because you bring these people, you've never seen them before, so you have the sense of surprise when they, oh my God, that person's funny. With somebody like Bill Cosby, who's real funny, but you cut to Cosby, something funny's going to come out of his mouth. When you cut to these 6 on Cheers, or you cut to the people on Friends. Yeah, I'm sorry, you cut 6 on Friends, and you cut to the people on Cheers or Taxi. You have no history with them.
Right.
So
Will and Grace. I didn't know those performers. Yeah.
No. So they open their mouths, and oh my God.
I also think there's something when the people watching it it's the people that made them stars.
Right.
They weren't brought in as stars.
Right.
So, we're saying, no, those people are stars. I like these guys, them, they're it. And that's much more magical than this person's been around in show business for 30 years as a legend, and now we're going to give them their own show.
Right. So that's almost all the shows I've ever done have. I tend not to want to work if you got a star in the show. It just because you have to serve the star, and it throws off stuff for me. I like the unknowns and having an audience discover the unknowns.
Well, this has been a huge, as I said at the beginning, looking forward to this. This is a treat for me, a huge treat, because I love your work. I love television. You're so smart about comedy. And I do recommend people, this book is fantastic. And you can read this book if you're in theater, read this book. If you're interested in television, read this book. If you're interested in comedy writing, read this book. Comedy performing, read this book. It's just, and read it at different time for each reason.
Buy a different copy.
Yeah, buy different copies.
Yeah.
No, it really is. And on a personal note, I'll tell you, when I got started with my late night show and was going through a really difficult period and getting written off all the time and constantly reading that I was going to be canceled, I ended up, I'd say about a year or two into the show, it was very early on, and I ran into you someplace, and you were very encouraging to me and said some nice things to me, and it meant the world to me. It was a huge deal. And I remember thinking, well, if James Burrows thinks I'm doing an okay job, then I think that I'm just going to live off that for about a year or 30. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And thank you for, I think you have provided me with maybe 85,000 laughs in my life. So
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. This was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I wanted to touch on that really speaks to how much things have changed is, you see Cheers now, and it's replayed, all over the world constantly. And what I always appreciate is it has a theme song. And not only does it have a theme song, it has one of the best theme songs ever. But it is no quick affair. It is a real theme song. I think it charted too. I think it was up at the top of the charts, that song, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Everybody Knows Your Name?
It was going to the top, except Billie Jean came out in 1982.
Yeah.
And I couldn't moonwalk.
But I was thinking about it. So much of my childhood affection revolves around these theme songs. The Get Smart theme song, Hawaii Five-0, F Troop. That's one an amazing, but just that would tell a story, and an amazing music, and these orchestras, Wild Wild West, just incredible theme songs. And you think about today, they're gone because you can't spend the time.
No.
A show has to start immediately. You can barely show the title of the show, and that's about it.
Yeah, because if you have a theme song, it takes away from content, and you can't do it anymore. Again, Cheers had we had 26 minutes to tell a tale. Now you only have 21 and a half minutes, so there's no time for a theme song. That's the theme song is that tells the whole story of that show. It was written by Gary Portnoy and Judy Hart Angelo. Judy is the wife or is the widow of John Angelo, who's my close friend, who was an investment banker, and called me and said his wife is done raising kids. She wants to go back to music writing. Can she send you a song for your show? And so that was a song they sent.
And you guys knew right away when you heard that song.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh my God! And if you Google it, the lyrics that were originally written are really funny lyrics. But we couldn't do it. You can't do a funny lyrics every week.
Right.
So that we made them more generic. But it's a wonderful song that encapsulates that show perfectly.
So people for years now have been saying, well, the sitcom is dead. And I know that they've said that repeatedly off and on for 40 years. You're not buying it.
Me?
Yeah, you don't buy that it's over for the traditional sitcom.
Well, I've dressed in a dark suit about 4 times for the death of sitcom. And every time I've gotten to the funeral, they've closed the casket.
Right.
So I'm a little concerned now. This is the first time, and I don't know why studios aren't doing it anymore, or networks aren't doing it anymore, or even streamers are not doing it anymore. It's economical. It's funny. The audiences love it. They watch all these shows in reruns. So I don't know. I have no reason why it is declining so much.
Yeah.
I've listened to people try to explain it. I can't explain it, but selfishly, I was there for a golden age of television when it was king. So I'm sad now that it's there are very few. There's like The Neighborhood, Cedric the Entertainer Show, and Chuck Lorre has Bob Hart's Abishella. But I don't know any other sitcoms.
I had this thought a couple of years ago, maybe more than a couple of years ago, but it was around the time that, people were wondering, well, what's going on with the multi-camera sitcom in front of a live audience? And I started to wonder if there's a generation, I'm thinking about my kids, that have come of age watching single camera, no laughs, single camera, and that it becomes, and maybe this comes from reality television, that it's inculcated in them that that's the real world, that a proscenium, people making entrances and there being applause, is not the real world, but the world is portrayed in The Office that looks more like a documentary and looks more like a lot of the content that they've grown up with, feels more real to them and authentic.
Maybe, but Friends is still the most popular show.
Yeah.
It's, and that's in front of a live audience. So I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You need one great sitcom, but I haven't seen it come down the pike yet.
Well, very nice to have you here.
It's lovely
And
to be here.
there is so much to talk about because you and I share certain experiences that I can't talk to a lot of people about this, meaning...
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yes. We've both murdered without conscience, and we've never been caught.
I think the term is manslaughter. I don't think, to be clear.
Yours, can I just say, yours was manslaughter.
Yeah, yours was actually...
Mine was, I thought about it for a long
There's
time.
no grounds for manslaughter.
It was murder.
Straight up.
Straight out. I thought about it. I got the tub. I got the various chemicals.
Oh God! Wow, this is really taking a ticket. Now I am wary about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
You should be wary. You should be wary. No, we have a lot in common. And then I thought I'd start with the obvious one, which is we've both hosted late night shows, and it was so interesting to me because I read a quote from you once that I could relate to a lot, which is you said when you were picked for the Late Late Show, that you thought, well, this is absurd. I've never stood on a monologue, Mark. I've never interviewed anyone. This shouldn't be what's happening. There was this sense of, gee, I haven't done any of the things that you're supposed to have been doing to be a late night host. but I thought I had other qualities that would out in the end.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that this very strict notion that we have here, I mean, these are really an American invention, these shows, I think. This really strict notion of what a late night host had to be changed a lot.
I think when I think about back when I started in amongst an entire out of body experience of feeling just unbelievably out of my depth and deeply unqualified to do such a thing. But I think I just was not completely aware of the history of the form in a way. I read, when I got the job, I read all the books, which, you're very, very heavily much written about in lots of the Bill Carter books and things like that. And I read them all, and I was like reading them thinking, this is nuts. You shouldn't be reading any of this.
No,
this is so silly to be reading this.
It is so foolish to be reading books about basically when you host one of these shows, you're going in to be yourself and create an environment where you're happy and you're doing your thing. So the idea that you would be studying for it, you can't bone up on any of this. There's no school for it. You just have to do it, and then increasingly find the things that you love to do those, keep doubling down on that. And you did that, and it was fantastically successful.
Well, that's it. I really remember quite vividly a sort of light bulb moment where we only had, I think we had 11 weeks to put our show together, build a set, get a team together, writers, all these things, segment producers and all this stuff. So there was really not a lot of time to think about it too sort of existentially. And then I would spend a lot of time, we couldn't really book any guests on the show because all publicists were just going, well, understandably, we're going, well, we're going to wait and see what the show's like, and then we'll book them. And we would be like, I don't know that we have that time, because we were going to follow Letterman's last, I think, 2 months, maybe 7 weeks. And then we were following like repeats of Hawaii Five-0 through the summer.
It's my dream to follow a repeat of Hawaii Five-0.
It was actually one of my funniest bits we used to do, where we'd follow like Hawaii Five-0 or shows of that ilk. And so we'd start episodes through the summer with a mock episode of Talking Hawaii Five-0. And we would just discuss what happened in that episode. And then sometimes, because the episode would be from like 5 years ago, and we'd find the guy who played like the guy at the newsstand.
That's fantastic.
And we'd be like, so anyway, we knew we had this little bit of time, and I was just sitting thinking, God. And it's a strange thing about how you can sort of change your attitude really to how something's going, where I would sit and I would think, God, nobody knows what, no one knows what I can do. Nobody knows what we could do. No one knows what this show is. And then you just have a moment when you go, oh, hang on, wait, nobody knows what I can do. Nobody knows what I'm capable of, and nobody knows what this show is. Oh, wow. All the things that I thought were negatives
are positive.
Just suddenly became positives. Or it's like, well, it doesn't matter then.
It boggles my mind how people manage to, wherever you place someone in the world or whatever situation you place them in, if they're meant to do something, I have this theory that like a salmon swimming upstream, they will figure that out. You have a moment when you're a kid where you very much realize, because then you have 2 sisters.
That's right, yeah.
And your sisters are very funny, charismatic.
Oh, I'm the quietest.
You're the quiet
our
one.
Entire family.
But
no one can ever believe that.
What's your moment when you're looking at, do you go to the theater? Where do you go? Where do you see it? Is it television or theater? Where do you look and say that? What is, because I remember my moments when I'd say, what is that? I want to be doing that.
Well, it's less so about seeing something. What a real big memory of mine is I can remember that I was 4 years old, and we were a Salvation Army family, so we used to go to church of the Salvation Army, and which is a thing in of itself, which we'll unpack another day. And
I have to be honest with you, I don't know what a Salvation Army family is.
Salvation Army is kind of different in America than it is in the UK, where basically, and when you, like any church that you're born into, you think it's completely normal that on a Sunday your parents put on a uniform and you go down to church, and then you march through the town while your mum sings in the choir and your dad, is playing in the band. And this is just completely normal. We're walking through the town This is what everybody does.
And it's
then,
the uniform that we know here in the U.S. as
correct.
the Salvation
Same
Army
thing.
uniform.
It kind of looks
It's like a
little
military.
Bit, yeah, it looks like a police. It looks like a police uniform, and your parents are wearing it, and your mum's got a bonnet on, and then you'll go to the morning service. You'll rush home, eat roast dinner, which is essentially what Americans do on Thanksgiving. You'd eat that every Sunday.
Whoa, good deal.
Until you can't breathe, and then you'll go back at night and do it again. And there's a brass band and all this stuff. It's absolutely absurd. But when you're like 8, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, up until I was like 13, 14, where I was like, huh. So when you say weekend, you mean you're playing like soccer or any of these things? Nothing, zero. But
Well, I love the assumption that you think everyone else is. Well, it's the weekend, so I guess your father is going to dress up
completely
like a corporal and bang on a drum
and sing "Onward, Christian Soldiers" as you walk through the town. Yeah, that's. We're all doing that, right, guys?
It's funny. I grew up very Catholic, and I just remembered thinking, well, this is what people do. We go to church, and then these magic tricks are performed where a cookie is turned into the body and blood of Christ, and there's incense and chimes are ringing, and I just assumed that this is what everybody does.
Yeah,
and then you
it's
realize,
true.
oh no. Yes, there's a large number of Catholics, but no, not everybody. Not everybody's watching this Las Vegas act every weekend.
Correct. That's it. So,
but I say that I don't say that with disrespect. I have the greatest respect for Las Vegas.
And Siegfried and Roy were your pastors, right?
Yes, they were. Until, unfortunately, you know what happened.
So I'm 4 years old.
So you're
So
doing
I'm
that.
4
You're
years
4.
old. My sister's being christened, which is the equivalent of sort of being, I get, christened. You call it christened, right? In
Sure,
other churches. So she's being christened, and our family is on the platform, which is kind of any other state parlance would be a stage, and the Salvation Army officer, who the vicar or the priest would said, James, you can't really see. Let's grab him a chair. And he got me a chair, and I stood on this chair, and then suddenly I could see the congregation of this church, which was probably 17 people. In my head, it was 1,000.
Sure.
And I looked out, and then I just sort of like started pulling like a face and gets a little giggle, and then do something else, and they giggle. And then I still remember turning around and looking under my legs, and they're all cracking up laughing. And I can remember, well, the weirdest thing is I remember them feeling amazing. And then going back to join the congregation and sitting between my elder sister and my mum. And, I'm back in the sort of the rows of the church, and there's someone's back in front of me. And I remember thinking, well, this is boring compared to being up there.
Up there is better.
Up there, good. Down here, bleh. And from then on, just became a quest to be like up there. And that was it. Like, I really, really remember that. And then we would go to the theater all the time. Like when I was sort of turned 11, we didn't have much money really.
Right.
But so I never used to get like birthday presents or Christmas presents. I would just get theatre tickets, and we'd go and see, Starlight Express or Les Miserables or The Phantom of the Opera, any of the big running musicals. And I just remember sitting there just thinking, well, this is the most extraordinary feeling. I'm in a room with 2,000 people. This is just magic. This is amazing. How can I be a part of this somehow in any way, shape or form? This just feels completely right in every way.
The great thing about this arc is you decide I'm going to take matters into my own hands, and then you have this other success on Broadway, but then you come to the Late Late Show. There are a lot of successful segments, but the carpool karaoke just blows up, and I rarely see other people do things. I like to the things that I do in comedy are things that just appeal to me. And it's not often that I see someone else do something where I think, oh man, I wish that had been me. But when you spent the day, and because I ran into you once and asked you about it, I'm such a Beatles fanatic. And when you spent the day with McCartney, I was just like, damn it, why couldn't I have just been in the back seat listening? Why couldn't I have been there? Because that That was just a dream come true for me.
It was extraordinary.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you're like this, but I'm rarely aware of what a great time I'm having. It's only retrospectively I look back and go, oh yeah, that was fun. At the time, I don't, you know,
you're just in it. You're in it and you're doing it. Yeah.
But doing that day was, you know, I just knew that we were doing something that was incredibly special. I think I knew before I even watched the edit that it was like, oh, okay, well, this is the pinnacle of this bit, and it's all going to be. It's really up to us how slowly we can glide away from it. We won't hit a peak like this again.
It's not just that you're in a car with Paul McCartney and you're singing Beatles songs, but you're driving through Liverpool.
Yeah,
because that's going to fire neurons in McCartney, and it clearly did. That, yes, he's giving interviews all the time to everybody, and he's sometimes probably saying things he said before, but if you're driving him around Liverpool, neurons are going to fire, and he's going to say things that maybe he hasn't said before. And that's the impression I got of that time you guys had together.
Completely. Well, I think what I realized that day is it's actually true for anybody who's left their hometown. Anybody who leaves their hometown, when you go back, like, I can't remember what I did last week. If you said to me, what did you do last Tuesday? It would really take me a long time to be, oh, what day was Tuesday? I can remember the journey from my house to Richard Shedd's house, to Greg's house, to Andy's house, to school, to the back of like that. Yeah. And so when you go home, you're so acutely aware of the road you've traveled from it. You can see it. So being there with Paul, who, you know, he was kind of reticent to do it.
You did mention this to me. You said that you'd been, obviously he's the obvious person to go to do carpool karaoke, and that looked like it was going to happen, but then
he was out, and then he was back in, and then he was out again, and then even on the day.
What do you think the reticence was about?
I just think at that point, that segment, you could so clearly view it in numbers. And I think he felt like, but you know, I think when you're in like, if Justin Bieber was in the car last week and One Direction in the car next week, do you look like you're Paul McCartney, or I think he was aware of trying not to look like he was trying to grab onto something that was perhaps quite young and youthful. And I was saying to him, look, Paul, we've never done anything like this where we've traveled somewhere. We have a stunt at the end. We're going to go into your house. You know, we are giving this everything. We're going to switch places in Drive My Car. We will not let this fail. We will not, even if one of these bits doesn't work, there's going to be 3 other bits in the segment that will. And even on the day, you know, he said to me, we're in this hotel, again, like hair and makeup, and this is where we're going to leave from, and microphones and all these things. And he said to me, he said, James, can I speak to you for a minute? And I said, sure. And we go into this walk-in closet, and he shuts the door, and I say, you okay? And he goes, I don't want to go in my house.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? He said, I don't want to go in. I've never been in. Whenever I bring people to Liverpool, we just drive up outside and I show them the house and I drive on. He said, I feel a bit weird about it because it's now a National Trust house.
Yes,
so it's all been it all looks the same. And he said, I just don't feel comfortable with it. And I was thinking, okay, this is quite a big bit that we were going to do. But I just went to him. I said, Paul, there is the only point of today is that you and I have a great time. And if we're having a great time, this is going to be great. You shouldn't be worried about anything. But I wouldn't dismiss anything now either. You don't know how we're going to feel. We'll have been in the car for 45 minutes at that point. So why don't we do this? We'll pull up outside. And if you give me a look that says you don't want to go in, we'll just drive on. And I'll take the hit for it, right? I'll say it was me, it was my fault. But you shouldn't overthink it in any way. So we're doing it. It's all going great. We're having a great time. We're singing the songs, and we pull up outside. And then I was thinking, oh shit, I should have said code word. Because what if he's giving me a look and I don't know what the look is? We never really worked out what it was.
Because he does wink a lot in conversations.
Exactly.
Which means,
what if he has gas?
Yeah. So I'm going, and it's in the finished clip where I go, do you want to go inside? And he goes, yeah, let's go in. And I was like, okay. And then we,
But let's
what
go
a
in was the
privilege.
signal, meaning let's not
leave.
go in.
Let's leave.
You fucked it up! But he's never forgotten it.
That day, I've never seen people. You know how now, like now the selfie is the thing. Everyone wants a photo. I have never seen people not be wanting anything from someone who's famous. They just want to thank him.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. Like going up Penny Lane and going in the barbershop and all those things. When people go, oh my God, it stopped traffic, but it didn't. Not really. Traffic standstill.
Yeah.
People just, every car round this roundabout, just no one moving.
Yeah.
Just there's Paul McCartney on Penny Lane. And then going into that house and all these things. I've just never, ever been so aware of like what an absolute privilege a day is to spend a day like this. I'll never ever forget it.
Hi, I'm Jamie Lynn Sigler, and I feel giddy about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
I like that. I like giddy. I'll take that.
That's nice.
That's very nice. Some people can get very mean, and I know that you're not going to do that, Christina. I know you're not.
Damn it. I was going to say I feel really stupid being Conan Brian's friend. I won't. So I will change mine, the nicer part of me.
No, be you.
Go for it. Be you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Christine Applegate, and I feel awesome to be Conan O'Brien's friend.
And you know what?
Cone bone.
I'm gonna
Cone
say
bone.
Cone bone.
Never stuck.
It did. My wife calls me Cone
No,
bone.
because Tom Hanks came around and did coo, coo.
Oh, yeah.
Coo.
Yeah, he
and then
did.
that became your thing.
That
I was
became-
trying to make cone bone happen. But
I'm
that's
kind of
okay.
glad Coco won, frankly.
Okay.
I'm really
It's never
happy.
too late.
It's
That can still happen.
Yeah. I was going to start by first of all thanking both of you for being here, and I have very distinct memories of both of you. I'm at that age now where I get very sentimental, and I look back over I don't know, just things that I've done in the past, people I've met. Christina, I remember very clearly you being such a wonderful friend to me on the show. You came on the show so many times, and you were always so funny and great and miraculous. And I think you might hold some record for coming on the show.
I think I might.
You
but
might.
It was like my favorite thing anytime I got a call saying, hey, even like you sometimes would have like a guest like fall out or something. They'd be like, will you come in? I'm like, absolutely. I would love nothing more. I really like you were my favorite interviewer ever. I had so much fun there.
That's
with
sweet of you. And
always.
it helped that you lived in an apartment right above our studio in Rockefeller
Yes.
Center. She lived
You
in
can call it an apartment. I was outside the bathroom.
Actually, it was a cleaning closet.
It was a cleaning closet.
And there was a cot. and
Let's
people
be
were
real,
like,
Conan.
I can't believe Christina Applegate lives.
And you guys charge me rent.
It wasn't a lot of rent, but I just I wanted to start by thanking you from the bottom of my heart for just always being just this light, always such a great guest, always so fantastic. And my memory, I have such a very clear memory, Jamie Lynn. I remembered when The Sopranos first came out and had been on for, I think it was one season. It was the new thing. Everyone was talking about it. And it's nominated for all these Emmys. And we're nominated too. We're in New York. I get on my American Airlines flight, and I sit in this American Airlines flight, and then the person sits down next to me, and it's James Gandolfini, who I'd never met. And we talked the whole way, and he was just talking about like, yeah, I don't know what this is. He had such a, like, what is this? We're going to an award show. And I went, yeah, you're on the biggest show on television, Jim, and you're the star of it. Anyway, he talked about act. We just had a lovely time.
Yeah.
And
that's so cool.
And my memory is they put me up at this hotel. I think it was the Four Seasons Hotel. And I walk out at one point, and you're standing there with your co-star, Robert Eiler, and you're just like both standing there, and you're kids. I mean, how old would you have been?
17.
Yeah. You're kids, and you were standing there right outside where the cars pick people up, and you just both looked like you had been beamed to Mars. Like you're here at the Emmys, and I chatted with you guys for a second and remembered having this weird look at, oh, this crazy ride is just starting for you. And I'm getting a sneak peek. And I remembered you just seeming like, I think she's going to be good. She seems like such a grounded, nice kid. I think you're going to be okay.
That's so nice to say. Well, I can tell you, like, meeting you was like that. I probably looked like I had just been beamed to Mars, because that's how we felt seeing you. That's how we always felt, like seeing people that we admired. And like Christina and I have talked about that you are our favorite show to do,
nice.
Because you just you set us up
when we're talking to you, but when we're talking to Jimmy Kimmel, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, we were lying to Jimmy. Yeah.
I had dinner with.
But I have a distinct memory because my brothers and I bonded over your show.
Right.
Like the bits in your show, we would talk about it all the time. And the first time I did your show, I was able to get my oldest brother, Adam, in the front row there. And that was like, it's one of those like I made it moments that you're able to share with the people that were there with you. So that was one of those.
Well, it's nice for me it's so funny. I don't know if it's the Irish in me or whatever, but I get very nostalgic for all of us floating along on this journey. And then I see these people along the way. And so to get to check in with both of you is very nice. I mean, yes, this is a podcast and we're doing this and there's going to be an ad or something, but I don't fucking care about that. I feel like I'm talking to you guys. I'm checking in. Both of you have been through so much and you're doing a beautiful thing, which is you're sharing it. You're talking about it very frankly. You have your own podcast, Messy, and it's all about MS, which you're both dealing with, and everything that happens. And I know that you're helping a lot of people, but the strange thing I've found about doing a podcast, and I'm struggling with just inherent craziness, but not MS. But what I have found is that it's healing for me to talk to people. And I'm imagine there's a component of doing this podcast where both of you are maybe doing some healing for yourselves about having this problem, that you're being able to talk about it openly in this forum is probably helpful to you.
Well, absolutely, 100%. I mean, that's how this all came about, was when I came out with my diagnosis in 2021, our friend Lance said, you got to talk to Jamie, because I'm sure you feel like you're on an island and you don't understand what's happening, and that's the person to talk to. And I had met Jamie a few times over the years, and it was like we got on the phone and we were on the phone for hours, and I felt like so less alone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get teary when I talk about my James, but
yeah,
it healed me in that moment, and that's how this happened. It was like we're talking about so much information and so much stuff that so many people newly diagnosed, or even people who have been diagnosed for years, might not know about, or want to say the things that we say, like the brutal honesty about how painful it can be, how lonely it can feel, how awful it is. And then, that's only coming from my mouth because I'm negative Nelly. And then Jamie will be like, but let's breathe, and I love you, Jamie. No, she gets pissed off about it too.
She's not wrong.
Here's the interesting thing is it's not that one way to go is wrong and one is right. They're both.
No. I was totally kidding. By the way. It's like we have helped each other in the sense that I get to see a different side to all of this because of her.
Yep.
And she gets to be honest about how she feels sometimes in ways that you didn't, right? I don't want to speak for you, but that's...
Jamie Lynn, you got diagnosed much earlier than even I knew. I was familiar with your diagnosis, but then I was shocked to find out that you got your diagnosis when you were on The Sopranos. You were also working on Broadway at the time. And I just assumed that this came, 10 years later because you didn't talk about it. You were afraid to talk about it because you thought you could get fired. Is that right?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of reasons. I think the initial, drive to keep it a secret and protect me was the fear of being fired, the fear of not being hireable, the fear of what people would think about this and me with this. I also think it allowed me to live in a state of denial for some time, because if I didn't talk about it with anybody, then maybe it wasn't real. But then, over the years, as the disease started to manifest into what it would be for me physically, and I started to have to make up excuses and lies, it was really difficult. And as much as I could regret that choice, I think it's really informed a lot about me and my life. And, now what's so beautiful, with Messy and having Christina and what I've learned about myself through this process is, when you find community and when you talk to somebody else, you can almost witness yourself a little bit, and you can kind of take a step back and really acknowledge what you're going through and acknowledge that it's hard and that it sucks and that it can be unfair and all of those things, but also really see the catalyst of it being the catalyst for a lot of growth and self-reflection. And, I've lived with the disease for almost 24 years now. I was diagnosed when I was 20. And so I'm finding my way through and finding sort of the purpose from this pain. And I feel like, that's all you can do with situations like this. And Messy is really what's propelled me into that way of thinking now.
I was thinking about, because you've had so many career arcs, you just have had multiple sections in your career where you, including right now, which is stunning to me, you have 3 movies coming out in 4 months, which you've never done before.
At 85 years old.
Yeah.
That never happened to me before. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it didn't happen to you. I think you had to agree to it at some point. I mean, this is you.
No, I did. I agreed to it. I didn't even really understand at the time.
Mm-hmm.
See, me and Lily Tomlin finished the 7 years of Grace and Frankie.
Right.
A week later, we started a film together called Moving On.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was short.
Mm-hmm.
I needed a fix. I needed Lily. I've missed her so. It was a physical thing.
Yeah.
And then 80 for Brady came along, and it was with Lily. And yes.
But also to get Rita Moreno and Sally Field. I mean, it's just, in addition to Lily Tomlin, it's an incredible.
Yeah.
All of you are out there kicking ass.
Yeah. We had such a good time. I've loved Sally for as long as I've loved Lily. I've known both of them since the 70s, and I always wanted to work with Sally, and to watch her build her character in this movie was such a thrill.
It's interesting because I've heard you talk about, you have these friendships with women now. That was not the case when you were young.
No.
You had a different attitude towards women.
It's an old frame of mind that I hope is disappearing that says, when you grow up, what that means is you're no longer emotional, you're no longer needy. You stand on your own like a guy. That's the signal of adult maturity. And that, plus the fact that my mother had done away with herself, I thought, I
think you were 12 when that happened.
Yeah. And even before then, I thought, no, women are losers. The best thing to do is to hitch your wagon to an alpha male.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going to want to be around him. And so you'll, come in on his coattails. Mm-hmm. And I felt that way until I was about 60.
Really?
Yeah, it took me a long time to get over that.
Well, that shocks me, because I would have thought I could see in the 60s that being a mentality that you have, but then...
No, the stuff that happens in the early years, it's why you have to do your best parenting then, stays with you a long time.
Yeah.
And so I had no women friends, only men friends. And then I had a daughter in my 30s, and I left my France life with my husband and everything, and I moved back here and became an activist. And the people that really impacted me were women.
Mm-hmm.
And they were women like I had never met before. The way they behaved, the way they treated people. It was like looking through a keyhole at the world that we were all fighting for. And I just thought, wow, I want some of that.
Yeah.
So I started bonding with women like that, all younger than me, smarter than me, braver than me, and they helped me so much.
It's amazing that that anyone could ever have the idea that men are the strong ones, because anything you learn later on as you go through life is that women, women are the backbone. And I've been to so many countries where they openly say, in Haiti, they'll tell you, oh, it's the women. It's the women
This
that
is true.
That
Yeah.
the women leave, they get educated, and then they come back and they are trying to hold this country together.
Yeah, all over the world. You're right. It's women who are leading the fight against the climate crisis all over the world. There are many, many profound reasons why this is true. Maybe it'll have to be for another talk, Conan, which would be interesting to have.
Is this the birds and the bees talk?
No.
I am 59 years old and I'm still waiting on that talk because I don't know how any of it works. But
no, it's interesting. Women have so many psychological and emotional advantages that give them great strength. And I think it goes all the way back to the hunter-gatherer times, in fact.
yeah,
Women in their DNA understand interdependence. Women know that we are all connected and we're connected to the earth and to other species. Women aren't afraid of expressing need. You know, women friendships, right?
Yes, yeah.
We say, oh God, I need a hug. In fact, in
Yes.
80 for Brady, one of the things that I like the most is that there's a scene with Lily when I need a hug. You know, men, you never hear men saying to a guy friend, I need a hug, or tell me what to do. I'm really lost.
yeah.
And women laugh together differently. Women's friendships are face to face, eyeball to eyeball.
Right.
Men's side by side, looking out at things, women, cars, sports events, and things like that. They don't ask for help. I think it's one reason why women live on average 5 years longer than men do.
Yeah.
Used to be 7 years. We've lost a little ground there. But is your child a boy or a girl?
I have
Twins.
2 boys.
2 boys, twins.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah. That's why when you're talking about masculinity, I'm making a very conscious effort to try to make sure that they don't grow up with those types of hangups.
Yeah.
If you want, I can come over anytime and hug your husband in front of your children.
Okay, that's really a weird thing
I'm
to
trying
say.
to help
That's
them.
a weird thing
you're
to
missing
say.
the point.
Oh, am I missing the point? I want to model this kind of masculine.
Don't model anything.
Okay, I won't. But
Help them remain emotionally literate.
Yes.
They're born emotionally literate. Let them keep that. Don't let coaches and fathers and teachers shut that down.
I read I think it was a quote you said once that it was Ted Turner who told you don't make friends after your 60s, and you have completely proven him wrong.
Yeah.
And
He also said you don't change after 60. And I said, I think you're in big trouble if you don't change after 60.
right.
Yeah. I mean, 60 is when you start,
I'm a few months shy of becoming 60. Yeah.
Well, 60, in the way I look at it, is the beginning of your third act.
Yeah.
And in order to do a good third act, in order to know how to go forward in your third act, you have to know where you've been.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to spend a lot of time thinking about the first 2 acts, and even more important, your parents.
Why
are they the way they are?
Yeah.
Or were they are your parents alive?
My dad is 94, my mom is 91.
Uh-huh.
And they're out in the clubs every night.
How long have they been married?
I think, wow, good Lord.
Are they the only people
They
they've
got
been
married
to?
at the very close of the Civil War. I wish I could tell you exactly, but I want to say it was 1958. I think
Okay,
they've been married.
so they've only been married to each other.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That's how strict Irish Catholics, you marry and then that's it.
No matter
That's
what. Yeah.
it no matter what.
Yeah.
There were many times I'm still trying to get my mom to divorce my dad. I call her every day and say, it's time, go. But she's sticking it out.
You're trying to get her on the apps to start dating other guys.
She keeps swiping the wrong way. That's what's ruining it.
But finding out, I mean, you're lucky that they're still alive.
Yes, I am. Very lucky.
Both of mine were gone by the time I started my third act. But finding out why they are the way they are, how were their parents, what were your grandparents like, how did they treat,
Yeah.
What you end up, when it's called doing a life review, and you end up realizing that whatever was fucked up had nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I turned my life review into my memoir. And in the course of doing it, I discovered why my mother was the way she was. And it had nothing to do with me, had to do with early childhood sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could forgive,
Yeah.
and that's such a beautiful thing. And one out of every 4 women in this country have experienced sexual abuse. And it's interesting to try to tease that out if that's part of your family history, which means that you have to interview your parents separately.
I think the other thing, too, is there was such a reticence about talking about anything. I mean, I come from a very Irish Catholic culture, as you can imagine, and it's the same thing. Unpleasant things are not discussed. You don't talk about them. So laughter is allowed, and food is allowed. Sex is discouraged, and talking about anything that might hurt somebody's feelings is discouraged. So you get this strange ecosystem sometimes, and I'm just not my family. It's so much. I just watched the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
I watched the Banshees of Inisherin,
and you identified.
And it's crazy. It takes place in I think 1920 or something, and it's on this island, and it's in Ireland. And I grew up in Boston, and my parents are very educated people, and I watched that movie with miniature donkeys and people cutting off their fingers and absolute madness. And not just me, but other Irish people that I know, other Irish Americans I know go, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we're an insular, crazy people with a gift of gab, and we can be quite funny, and we get quite depressed, but we come from this island. And there's stuff in our DNA that's batshit crazy.
Yeah, I was married to one. My second husband, Irish Catholic.
How'd that go?
Beautifully and fabulously for much of the time.
Right.
And I'm really, really grateful. And we named our son Troy O'Donovan.
Oh, there you go.
Garrity.
That's too Irish. That's a very Irish name.
Garrity.
He'll either be a playwright or a bartender.
He's an actor.
Those are the only 2 choices, I'm afraid. I was thinking today, and I wanted to ask you about this because it only occurred to me much later, but we went through and are still going through the whole Me Too movement. And then I realized 9 to 5, which is 1980.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Truly.
Yeah. And for good reason.
Yeah.
9 to 5. I want to say it's 1980. Yes. That movie is dealing with sexual harassment. And that movie is maybe 30 years ahead of its time, because there's a period of time, and you can still see it. You can see these movies where sexually harassing women is kind of a joke.
Yeah.
The guy in the office chasing the assistant around the desk
It's
is in New York.
quaint.
Yeah. It has a quaintness the way people that drank too much used to have a quaintness. But today you see it very differently, and it looks very different now. There were comedians like Foster Brooks, whose entire career was I'm drunk. And Dean Martin, and now we have a different view of that. It doesn't immediately seem like a knee slapper to us. The boss sexually harassing women in the office who work for him, you guys made a movie about it that was a massive hit, and it was talking about something I think up to that point had not been, no one had really shone a light on it, I don't think.
Or wage theft. Or guys being trained by a woman who knows the business better than anybody and being promoted right past her.
Right.
All those kinds of things. I mean, they're all still out there in the workforce.
Yep.
I mean, the situation for people who work in offices today, in a way, is worse because now those 3 women wouldn't even know who their boss was, probably would never meet him face to face.
Right.
They're hired by a contracting company that contracts them out to another company. And so who do you go to when who do you complain to? And then with computers, which we didn't have then, you can be so easily spied on. It's really hard. I mean, the 3 of us probably would have had 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
In order to be able to afford the lifestyle that you saw us living at that time.
I know you've talked a lot about Lily, but Dolly Parton, you bonded with her while making that film.
She is an amazing woman. She is so smart, and she's kind of psychic. She's really profound. I'm in awe of Dolly. I love her very much.
And she gave you advice because you had seen your father's reaction to fame, which if someone came up to Henry Fonda and wanted an autograph, he was terrified.
He would run. He spoiled more weekends with me and my brother when he would come and visit us because he and my mother were separated. He would take us to Rye, New York, and he would take us there, and I'll never forget. A woman came and asked for his autograph, and he ran, and he was in a bad mood all day. It ruined the whole thing for us. He hated it. I mean, I don't know why, but he just hated it. And I was with Dolly. We went on the road. She was so grateful for me casting her in the movie 9 to 5. And I was preparing to do a story of a hillbilly, illiterate woman based on a book called The Doll Maker. And I needed to go there and meet those people. And Dolly, I said to her, "You're the only hillbilly I know. Can you help me?"
And you know it's cool. You can say that to Dolly Parton, and she's cool with it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I want to meet somebody who lives in a holler with no electricity or anything, so I can kind of flesh out my character. I went to Nashville. I stayed with her and her husband, Carl. That was an experience in her house. Carl cooked us breakfast. I said, "How did you two meet?" And he described the first time he saw her. He was driving a truck past a 7-Eleven, and there she was in the parking lot drinking a Crown Cola. And he was just sitting at the breakfast table. He said, "No, you don't understand." It was like, and he fell over backwards.
Now that is love. Describing how you met your wife.
He is a handsome man.
Yeah.
Boy, I sang backup for Dolly at the Grand Ole Opry. Oh my God. And anyway, she put me on her tour bus with 3 or 4 friends of hers, and we spent 10 days touring Appalachia, Missouri, the Ozarks, Arkansas, and I ended up meeting somebody that I went back and lived with and chopped their wood and milked their cow and so on and so forth. So here we were on the road in the back hollers, with people who lived in tar paper shacks. Dolly came, and it was her tour bus, and she had the stateroom at the end. I never saw her not looking 100% Dolly Parton, the wig, the whole thing. Going to see these people, she presented herself just like they hoped she would. And I thought, yeah. That's how to do it. You've got to love those people who like you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And oh boy, does she have fans, and she just loves them and appreciates them. And she taught me a lot. She didn't say anything.
So she showed by example.
She showed by example.
Yeah. It's funny, when I was very young and I would meet one of my heroes, which would happen occasionally, I remember the feeling. In my case, it was John Candy, and I would have been 17. How old would I have been? I would have been about 20 years old, maybe. And I was in college, and I met John Candy, and he was one of my comedy heroes. And I was nervous about meeting him because I thought, well, sometimes you run into a famous person and they're cold. They're not who you thought they were. And he was everything I could have wanted him to be times 10. And I remember to this day the joy that gave me, that what he was demonstrating to me was, it's real. I really am that person that you like. And that has stayed with me forever. I've always wanted to be that way.
Good for you.
If I run into anybody anywhere, I want them to know that
that it's okay.
If you thought I was that person and you like me for that reason, I am that person.
Yeah.
And if it means that we sit and talk for 15 minutes, then we do.
Yeah.
It's
so cool.
I'm glad that you found your way.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about your dad in the selfie era. If you think he hated an autograph.
Oh my God.
What's that?
TMZ.
Henry, that wouldn't have gone too well.
No.
You've achieved so much in film, and you've written this beautiful memoir, and you've been an activist. And then sometimes I forget there's this part of your career that anyone else could hang their hat on, which was the exercise videos. Anyone else who had done that could have been their whole claim to fame. It was such a massive phenomenon, and I think it got so many people thinking about their health. That's a gift that keeps on giving.
It is, yeah. It wasn't until I wrote my memoir, and then I did a national book, actually an international book tour. But when I was in this country doing a book tour, and when you have a book that you've written, people line up to have you sign their books. And there was mostly women, and there'd be some women that would wait until it was all done. And then they would come to me and they would say, "Do you remember I marched with you in 72 in San Diego?" And then someone else would say, this is often, "Cat Ballou."
Yeah.
Cat Ballou is my favorite movie. Oh my God, that meant so much to me. And somebody else would say, "Your exercise video let me recover from a mastectomy. You know, you enabled me to be able to move my arm up and down. And I realized I've connected with people in this country on so many different ways.
Yes, you have.
And it took me by surprise. I hadn't really realized it, you know?
I think it's lovely that that if anybody connects with anybody or with fans in one way, that's spectacular. But you know you've done something when someone comes up and says, Jane, I have to tell you, it could be one of 175 things that you've done that meant something to them. And it could be part of your activism. It could be, as you said, the exercise videos. It could be one of, I mean, even if, okay, let's restrict it to film. I can't count the number of films where you've had a huge impact. So that is a remarkable...
Do you remember Lyndon LaRouche?
Yeah.
Lyndon LaRouche was a horrible man who...
This was quite a turn, by the way. If you're driving right now, I hope you didn't just crash into a tree. Do you remember Lyndon LaRouche? No one else says that, but I do, yes.
This will get back. You know, he would send people into gay bars with chains to beat up gay people. He had people standing at the airports holding signs, you know, like feed Jane Fonda to the way, you know, terrible, mean signs. And I read an article, this was like 1977. We were in a recession, that he funded all of this from a business, a computer business. And I thought, I was married to the Irishman then, Tom Hayden. I said, we got to start a business because we had a statewide organization, the Campaign for Economic Democracy. It was hard to fund. It's a huge state. We had offices up and down the state. And so we spent a year thinking, what business? A restaurant. Neither of us know anything about food, you know, or whatever. And then a very smart man who started Delancey Street. It was a house place where people could go who were recovering from addictions and things like that. John Marr. And he said, don't ever start a business that you don't understand. Well, that brought me up short because the only thing I really understood was exercise. And I had met a woman named Lenny Kasdan who was doing this workout. And we turned it into a business that funded the organization.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Copied Lyndon LaRouche. That's the...
Now, to be fair, I've watched Lyndon LaRouche's exercise videos, and he's wearing the leg warmers.
Yeah,
and,
I gained weight watching this.
I gained 200 pounds.
And an ulcer.
Yeah, it's funny how you bring that up. I mean, even today we live in a world where there's so much anger and there's
polarization. So many
people that are angry about how someone else is living their life, which I never understand. Do you know? Like, how does that concern you if someone else is living their life a certain way? Why is that?
Well, if you're suffering, and you know that you're suffering because the fuckers in Washington, the neoliberals of the last many decades, pay more attention to Wall Street and to money and to bankers than they do trying to serve me living in the Midwest and the Rust Belt.
Yep.
And so if you're suffering and you grew up with your dad belonged to a union and his dad belonged to a union and they could afford to buy a home and send their kids to school and now you can't, and now you have to take a job as a waiter, of course you're going to be angry.
Yeah.
Of course. And that's why these elected officials have to start paying attention, not just thinking because the Dow Jones look a certain way that the people in the Midwest are going to be feeling okay. They're not.
I think one of the things that gets to me, though, is I think the anger is clearly legitimate. It's when people exploit it, get elected on it, and then don't do anything to really address the issue.
Yeah, I know who you're thinking of. We won't mention his name.
Is it Lyndon LaRouche?
It was you, Gorley.
What?
You didn't see that coming. But yeah, it's fascinating to talk to you and to see you're as fired up and passionate now about pretty much everything we've talked about as you would have been in 1975. And I'm wondering if, like, everyone's always trying to figure out what's the way to age and stay healthy. Clearly, you are the greatest example of being able to achieve that and in style. But at the same time, I think, people wonder, what is it? What is it? And some people say it's staying connected. And I think also passionate. I mean, interested.
And curious. As you get older, if you've stayed interested and curious, you realize that it's all connected. There'd be no climate crisis if there was no racism. There'd be no climate crisis if there was no patriarchy. It's a mindset that sees things in a hierarchy. You know, white men are here, everybody else is down here, plants and other animals are down here, and they see a tree, flooring. Oh, that would make a great floor, you know, or a door, or, you know, everything is to be exploited and monetized. That's led to the climate crisis, and it's all connected. And so when you know, how can you not stay passionate about trying to do something about it?
Yeah.
Because we have so much potential. I mean, we're so brilliant as a species. My God.
Yeah.
And the world is so mysterious and wonderful and complicated and deserves protecting. And we don't even understand the half of it. I did Fire Drill Fridays this morning, and my guest was a guy named John Hosever, he's a marine biologist, and he knows how to pilot a submarine underwater. He can go to the depths of the ocean. And, you know, he's seen things that we don't even know what they are or what they can do. And here we are talking about deep sea mining that would destroy it all. I mean, we need humility, and we need to get rid of greed.
Yeah.
And we need to understand that the collective is what's important.
Yeah. Well, I think humility is, with a capital H, is massive.
Yeah.
There's such an arrogance when people think, well, it's 2023 and we know most of what mankind needs to know, and we don't know anything.
Nothing.
They're constantly finding, I mean, 100 years from now, they will laugh at what we thought
Yeah.
now. And
If we're even around in 100 years.
I'll be here.
Because of our ignorance. You'll be here. You will be here.
We'll be here.
Bobbing on the ocean.
My little pompadour sticking out of the
Your
water.
red pompadour sticking up like a wave. Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and I'm telling you, I am so really deeply happy and excited to be
Okay.
sitting opposite Conan for a conversation. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, this, oh boy, that's
But
too,
that's true.
Well, I can't handle that. And you know why I can't handle
No.
that? Because when I was a young lad, my dad took me to a movie theater that was showing sort of a revival house. It was Coolidge Corner in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Brookline.
Brookline, Mass. And I went there and I saw Cat Ballou.
Oh.
And fell in love with you.
Oh, good.
Fell completely head over heels in love with you.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, and then, well, then it just then I think I didn't see.
Let's just stop there. It doesn't get better than that.
Well, it does, because then I know this isn't chronological, but I was seeing these films a little later on. I saw Barefoot in the Park, and I remembered thinking, that's who I want to marry. I want to marry Jane Fonda, because I saw you as this newlywed in Barefoot in the Park, and I just...
Are you about to propose?
Yes. Yes, I am. I have a ring. I've talked it over with my wife. And by the way, my wife, if I called her up and I said, I'm leaving you for another woman, and it's Jane Fonda, she would say, go for it. Because she adores you as well. So,
And I could become one of those women who has a husband that could be her son.
well, yeah, I suppose.
No, you could be my son.
Yeah. But, whatever.
That's cool. I think that's cool.
Take
Cher's
whatever you
doing
can
it.
get.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sure I'll disappoint you in many ways, but let's not even get into that.
I love tall men.
Oh.
And, and I didn't really realize for a long time how tall you are. How tall are you?
I'm 6'4".
Oh, God, it's beautiful.
This is happening.
This is happening right now.
Yes. Wow.
Someone send out for some wine.
Prime time.
Eduardo, get some wine in here.
Prosecco.
Something.
You got it.
Oh, my God. I'm just in heaven, but I don't know.
Can I say,
yeah.
I am so happy for you that you are doing this podcast and not having to do a show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's liberating.
It is.
It gives you a life. You don't have to worry about hair. It's great. No, it's...
I almost didn't bring my wig in today. I almost didn't do it. It's funny you say that, because you came on the late night show one time and you were terrific. It's 2014. But we couldn't talk like this.
No.
There's a band and there's an audience, and I loved doing that. And I did it for almost 30 years. But what I've loved about this is I knew that you were coming in, and I was excited because I thought there's so much we can talk about, and in an intimate environment. You know, and I think if I had told you how much I loved you and wanted to marry you as a child in front of an audience, you know, someone's going to intervene. Someone's going to step in the way and say, but here, no one, right?
We should have.
You should have. You should have stopped me.
We should have.
But thank you. I'm honored that you felt that way.
Feel that way. But there's so much to talk about. I was mentioning to you just as you walked in, I used to live on a street called Tigertail. And there was an older gentleman that lived on Tigertail when I first moved there about, I want to say 12 years ago. And this old gentleman said, you know, when I first moved to Tigertail, I used to see, you know, Jane Fonda riding up this road on a horse on her way back from school. And I thought, poor old man, he's lost his mind.
No, I used to ride a horse to school. It wasn't my horse. It was the school's horse.
Oh.
Was it painted yellow?
And they
had a little stop sign that came out every time. It stopped.
They would loan it out to a few of us who were good riders.
Wow.
So you would ride home, and this is here in Los Angeles on the west side.
I'd ride down Tigertail Road, down Kenter to San Vicente, and what is now that centerpiece that has those huge coral trees.
Yes, yeah.
That was the trolley tracks.
That's right.
And it was also a bridle path. And I could ride that down to school, which was on the corner of San Vicente and 26th Street.
That's unbelievable.
I know.
So you were basically growing up in Los Angeles, but it could have been 1855, the way you were getting to school.
Yeah. If you didn't pay attention to the cars that were coming and going. But, you know.
Oh, right. Those cars.
But,
yes.
No, but Conan, you know, it's wonderful to have been alive in the late 30s and 40s.
Mm-hmm.
The world had only 2 billion people, and that affected every nook and cranny of life.
Mm-hmm.
There were more birds.
Mm-hmm.
There were more empty spaces that a boy or a girl could explore and play in. I mean, we lived at the end of a dirt road at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't, there's so many houses where we used to live now, I can't even hardly find it. But where you live
Mm-hmm.
is a canyon in front of the 9 acres where we had a farmhouse.
That's unbelievable. You had
Yeah.
9 acres up there, and now it's all been developed.
There's about 20 houses on that piece of property. I can't even, as we talked about before the show started, you know, it's the first house that you live in is the one in your dreams, right? And that house, that land at the top of a hill overlooking the Pacific Ocean during the Second World War, when we used to have, well, no, you don't remember. It was the Second World War had started and there were blackouts and we had to, you know, hide under tables during air raid drills and things like that. And so that's very much in my dream.
It's
you know.
unbelievable. Yeah, because
and now I can't find it.
Well, I will find out where the house was, and my promise to you is I will find a way to buy all those homes, raise them to the ground, and I will restore your ranch.
And this is where the two of you will live.
And we're going to get married. Actually, no,
Yes, we are.
I don't want to get married again. See, my dad was married 5 times. I've only been married 3 times, and I don't want to add to that. So we'll live in sin.
This is the greatest day of my life. This is the best day I've ever had in my life.
Yeah,
I'm so
Jane
delighted.
Fonda can be your side piece, so you could still you could still be married to Liza.
No,
Oh,
that
okay, all right, never mind.
Call Liza. You deal with it.
Oh man,
Sona, you're my assistant. You deal with
I'll
it.
call Liza.
You call Liza.
I'm going out on a limb here. I assume that you're married and
Yes.
Liza is your wife?
Yes, you are. Yeah,
Okay.
you're going way out on a limb. But yeah, 21 years we've been married. Yeah.
Okay, well,
yeah.
maybe I won't call her. Maybe we could do a threesome.
Oh, God!
He just short-circuited.
non-sexual threesome.
Wait, why non-sexual? What's happening?
Short-circuit.
I'm blacking out. I can't handle this anymore. I just can't handle it anymore.
Sure you can.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay, yes, I can. I was surprised to find out that you were inspired, some of your activism stemmed from this feeling you got from your dad.
From his movies.
From his movies.
Right. A number of years ago, one of Martin Luther King, Yolanda King, Martin Luther, one of his daughters, called me to talk about something or other. And I was in the process of writing my memoir. And so I was curious. And I said to her, Yolanda, did your dad, Dr. King, did he, you know, like take you on his lap and bounce you on his knees and talk about values, you know, the kind of values you and stuff like that? She said, no, he never did.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, my dad never did either. But you had your dad's sermons. And I had my dad's films. He didn't really need to say much. You know, I loved him and admired him so much. And I knew that the movies like Young Abe Lincoln and Grapes of Wrath and 12 Angry Men and Wrong Man, those kind of movies were the ones that he really loved and was proud of doing. And he loved those characters. Those are the movies that I identified with. And it was like putting fertilizer on my little soul. When there was something that triggered, which for me was the Vietnam War, all of that became fertile ground for activism.
Your dad, in so many of his films, and I'm thinking specifically when he's in Grapes of Wrath, that speech he gives about the little guy, and that's me, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
That's a speech that resonates maybe more now, or at least as much as it did during the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of people out there that feel that they're being bullied, that they're being pushed around. And there's so many Henry Fonda films where the core idea is you have to stand up for the little guy.
Justice, fairness. You know, there were no people of color around me when I was growing up on the West Coast in California. But there was my father's film, The Oxbow Incident, which was about a racist hanging. You know,
Yes, yeah.
It meant so much to me.
That's a generation, whether it's Dr. King or Henry Fonda or even my father, people were not raised, I don't think men were raised back then to show a lot of emotion.
No, they were told not to.
Yeah.
Well, today still, our culture says, you know, if you want to be a man, you don't cry, you don't express need. There's a wonderful movie. It's one of the nominated movies as Best Foreign Films. It's called Close.
I haven't seen it.
It's about this issue of boys in the beginning when they're young. They love on each other. They hug each other. They sleep together. They cuddle. They fall asleep on each other's shoulders. And then they start going to a school, you know, they reach adolescence and it's suddenly, are you queer?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they get ashamed and then they pull back. And it's like a loss of humanity that happens because of our culture that says men aren't supposed to be vulnerable and express emotions. It's so sad. I want to, you know, part of what I want to do is change that.
Well, I think you've done, I mean, for example, I thought it was very brave. It was also artistically hugely successful. But on Golden Pond, you and your father were laid bare, in a sense, your struggle to connect and put it on film for everybody to see. And I think when the movie came out, as much as I liked it, I couldn't appreciate how scary that is. That's scarier to me than jumping out of an airplane without a parachute, is exposing that kind of vulnerability with a parent, because so many people have a complicated relationship with their parents.
Especially people of a certain age with parents of a certain age, especially if the parents came from the Midwest.
Yeah. And so was your dad aware the whole time that that's what you were exploring, or could he tell himself, well, these are just characters? Because
these are just characters.
Oh, okay.
There's a scene where I tell him I want to be his friend. It's a scene where it's my big scene in the movie. Every time I read it in rehearsals, I would become very emotional because these are things that I never said to my dad. I want to be your friend. And then when it finally came time for me to do it with the camera facing me, I dried up. It was really hard. It was a really important scene for me.
Yeah.
And my dad always liked doing things that had been rehearsed. He wanted to know everything that was going to happen in advance. So on purpose, I did something that I hadn't done in rehearsal. When I said, I want to be your friend, I reached out and touched his arm. And he ducked his head and he went like this. But I could see that he got emotional.
Yeah.
Made me so happy. And I went to dinner at his house that night and I told him how I had dried up and how I had a hard time with the scene because it was so personal. And I said, you know, in your long career, Dad, did that ever happen to you? Nope.
Yep.
That was it.
Nope. Period.
Nope.
Yep.
You know, he didn't say, well, tell me about what happened. And, you know, he had no clue. Nope. But that's who he was. Like,
yeah.
Can't change it.
No. Well, you know, it's funny. You find out later in therapy that parents they're doing what they can with what they've been
They're
given.
doing the best they can.
They're doing the best they can. Not all parents. Sona, I don't think you're doing the best you can.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, just to jump out for a
Seems
second.
hurtful. I've only been a parent for like a year and a half, but
Yeah.
you're saying I'm already just.
You seem high most of the time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not totally inaccurate.
It's those first early years where you really have to do the best you can.
Oh, okay. Then I should stop getting high all the time.
With Smartless, with Arrested Development, Ozark, you've been able to play in this very rich environment and have this crazy success. And I'm intrigued because every now and then I get to talk to people on this podcast who sort of they got to have their cake and eat it too. And you're one of those people who I think has had this lovely arc where you start as a child actor, which is not a promising start for many people. And it really doesn't work, to the point where there have been times where I thought, should they just make it illegal to be a child actor?
Or force them to go into secondary education. You know, like, I didn't.
How old were you when you got your first, you did a cereal
10.
commercial when you're 10?
Yeah. I mean, it was a very tangible, I don't remember a lot, but I do remember being really filled with anxiety about being able to continue to make a living in a business that I was pretty aware that it was tenuous at best, that it was
even as a kid,
fickle. Yeah.
Even as a kid, I think you did Little House on the Prairie, some commercials. You're on Silver Spoons, and I could see kids having two reactions to that. One, oh, I've landed in Candyland. I'm in Oz. This is just amazing. But you had the emotional intelligence to be anxious about it and think, I don't know if this is going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and I apologize to any listeners that have heard me twat on about this before, but it was, my parents were my managers, and they were making more money doing that than what they were. My mom was a flight attendant for Pan Am. My dad was a freelance writer, director, producer. And, 15% of what I was making at that time just ended up being more than what they were making in their careers. And so it became an important component to our overhead.
Yeah.
Like we were living in a certain condo that we wouldn't be able to live in if they were just, using their salaries. And so you need a work permit to work as a little kid before you're 18. And that work permit is renewed every 6 months based on you maintaining a C average in school. And so the pressure on midterms and finals every year was immense for me because it was, 60% of your grade. And so studying for those and if I fail a midterm, I don't get my work permit, which means I'm kicked off the show, which means everyone on the show loses their job. We lose our house.
Right.
And plus I was also seeing just the churn of folks that were, hosting Saturday Night Live, 1 week, and then a year later you just never hear from them, or maybe even a few months. So like I was aware, I was consuming pop culture. So all of these sort of touch points of adult responsibility were really tangible for me, which is curious then why I didn't get my high school diploma. I didn't go to college. I just doubled down. And thankfully, I was still doing a show till I was about 21, 22, I think, called The Hogan Family. This was after Silver Spoons, after It's Your Move. And then when that ended, then there was like this arid plain of my 20s of employment. Like I'd get one job a year, and I'd kind of keep my head above water, but there was no cash cushion whatsoever because I was trying to catch up for all the time I'd lost being a kid too. So I was playing really hard in my 20s, and I'm flying all over the place and paying for my friends' tickets, and so I didn't have a lot of money at all. In fact, I was in debt by the time I was in my 30s, by the time Arrested Development came around. And I was really thinking at that point, So the acting thing isn't going to work for me anymore. Kind of like used goods. Television comedy was going in the direction of single camera comedy. I was known for multi-camera comedy, in front of a live audience. And so I was just kind of damaged, and especially when I heard about Arrested Development, like here's a single camera comedy and it's kind of a mockumentary and it's Ron Howard's behind it. And like, they don't want my garbage on that. But managed to guess right and get that job, and it was embraced by the industry, and it was that huge reset button for me. But prior to that, I had really was my 20s it was not a comfortable period. I was really petrified about being able to support myself and have the rest of my career not be anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I thought about liquidating what little I did have, literally cashing out, and literally putting what cash I had in a duffel bag, driving to the Bradley terminal at LAX, looking up on that board, picking a city, and going and just kind of unplugging from this kind of not rat race, but competition. This, like every night's Entertainment Tonight. Who's doing great? Who's on your show? And I wasn't, and I had been. And so I thought, well, I don't want to continue playing at a game that I'm going to be, losing every single year. So why don't I go to like Tuscany and learn fucking, Italian, French, whatever, buy a coffee shop and just start over at the age of 25. I don't have a wife, don't have kids, have a bunch of friends, but let's go drink into more of those in Europe,
right.
So I was very, very, getting it back to Arrested Development, that was a total paddles on the chest for me.
Do you ever think you blew it, that maybe you should have done that?
Exactly.
No, but I mean, I'm just seriously, this coffee shop thing.
Sounds nice.
It sounds like a good
for
coffee shop.
Starbucks.
Really nice.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Le Starbucks.
Can't go back, I guess. Can't go back. I know that you directed quite a bit on Ozark, and that you must have been watching the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was go back to when you're a kid,
Yeah.
where you're watching other people make these decisions. Someone explained to me once, a lot of directing is making choices. Do you want this or do you want that?
Right.
So you're watching that and saying, I want to be doing that.
Yeah, it was Michael Landon on Little House on the Prairie. So right as I was starting to I'd done a couple of years of commercials and stuff like that, but I was starting to really kind of notice what this magic trick is of making fake life. Like, okay, so you point, because we all look through the paper towel tube when we're a kid, and you kind of you make that little tunnel that you're seeing stuff through, and outside that tunnel, the stuff you can't see, that's where all the gack can be, right? Like the microphone and the lights and all that stuff. And so just inside that tube needs to be pristine. And so I started to watch directors and crews kind of create this fake life. And Michael Landon was the director, executive producer, star, writer. Everybody loved him.
What was he like? Just because I grew up.
He was George Clooney.
My brother's obsessed with Bonanza, and has been his whole life, and has made sure that all of us around him have watched almost every episode of Bonanza. So even though, yes, I know he went on to Little House on the Prairie and everything, I just can't believe that's Joe Cartwright.
Yeah,
I can't believe you even knew him.
Right.
What was he like as a person?
He was George Clooney would be like the perfect comparison today. His ease with people, with the process, with the business, with just Joe on the street.
Yep.
Women are crazy about him. Guys want to be his buddy. And so watching him juggle all those balls and kind of be this leader and presence on a set and be kind with people, but also be kind of a stern boss if he needs to. That was pretty inspirational. And so, that's kind of where it started. That, and my dad never really took me to the park to throw the ball. He'd take me to, art houses, to watch foreign films and show me what directing is and what acting is and what's good and what's bad.
What if he only took you to art houses and showed you Bonanzas? Here's one where these cattle rustlers come to town. Michael. They were going to show a Truffaut film here, but we shut that down. This is going to be the Bonanza where, okay, all right. But that's beautiful that he did that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, it was because it kind of planted the seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just kind of went on from there. And I was always sort of tracking it and wanting to do it. And so paying attention to every set I was on after Little House. And then I actually went and spoke to the producers of the Hogan Family when I was 18 to see if there could be a slot for my dad to direct an episode. And while I was talking to the producers about that, they said, yeah, for sure. And do you want to direct one? And I said, yes, please. And ended up doing that. And then that was just sort of like, well, I guess now I can do this. It's a different thing directing stuff in front of a studio audience. It's more like directing a play, to be fair. But still, it got me my DGA card, and I thought, and then I was really pursuing that career when Arrested Development came around. I was following James Burrows around.
Yeah.
Jimmy Burrows around and watching it. He's for the listeners who don't know, he was like the most famous.
The Babe Ruth of all the great Cheers.
Yeah, sitcom
directors, Friends.
Yeah, I was like, well, when I turn my history of doing sitcoms into a positive instead of the negative that I felt it was at the time, and let all that experience maybe get me hired as a director. And so I wanted to be like the new Jimmy Burrows. And then Arrested Development came along.
This just popped in my head, but literally a couple of months ago, I had to go back to Boston quickly, see my family, and I always stay in the same hotel, and I get on my elevator to go down to the lobby, and it stops on another floor, and Jimmy Burrows gets on.
Really?
And this is a hotel that's right on the park, literally maybe 60 feet from the Cheers bar.
Yeah.
And I'm headed down, and Jimmy and I are talking. And I said, hey, Jimmy, want to go over to the Cheers bar? Hang out? And he went, yeah, no. It's like, I don't know why that popped into my head.
I've been in there.
But yeah.
That's a cool spot.
Sure.
Yeah.
People go there. It's like people that go to one of the Central Perk coffee shops and think they're going to see Jennifer Aniston. They feel cheated that they're not. It's a bar. I think the salvation is if you get into the work. Like for me, when I hear you talk about all this, is that you were very interested in making the stuff and the work. And to me, that was always the salvation. I wanted my goal. If you asked me when I was 20, what's your goal? I would say I would like to have a body of work, which sounds incredibly pretentious, but that's what I wanted. People could like it.
Yeah.
They could hate it. But I just wanted, when I was done, to have stuff that I had made that...
As a writer.
As a writer, as a whatever, just as a performer, as a whatever.
Did you have on-camera aspirations at that time?
It's so funny. I knew that I could get a job as a writer, but I always was a performer as a writer. So I was always the guy that would get up and do stuff. At Saturday Night Live, I would do things in front of the other writers, start doing something, and they would be laughing.
And Lauren would notice this.
And Lauren would notice it, but also the writers would say, that's a sketch, that guy you're doing right now. And I'm just doing it because something's wrong with me.
Or you're trying to make it more, you're trying to get your point across to the other writers that this is what it needs to be, or this sketch works if you play it paranoid. And so you gotta like do it.
But not even that. There were often times when I wasn't pitching a sketch. I was just doing.
Yeah.
You've seen it, Sona, where I'll just come in and I'll just be doing something that strikes me as funny or odd, and
that's all you do.
That's kind of all I do.
I don't know the real you.
And then we got to SNL, and I was doing that for someone like Odenkirk or Smigel, and they said, "No, that's a sketch. That's a sketch." And I was like, "Oh, that's just a thing that I do."
Right.
And then that
just write that down and make a living.
Many of the things that I've over the years that I wrote for SNL, or any of the things that I over the years did on late night, were just things that I did. Sometimes I would do them in the shower
Right.
And my wife to this day will hear me in the shower saying, "You've got some nerve." And well, they've all just grown accustomed to it, but that's where that came from.
Have you ever, and I apologize if it exists and I haven't seen it, but have you ever spent time doing multiple characters along with your writing as you would have done had you been on camera at SNL?
What do you mean?
Well, like inhabiting multiple characters, playing some French pastry chef, and then playing a mechanic, and then as you do as a cast member.
I think we've done bits where I've been different people, but
not on the talk show. No. Right? Where you like dress up in costume and there's a wig and there's prosthetics. Just like an SNL cast member.
Yeah. It's interesting because I always, when I was at SNL, I never looked at Dana Carvey or any of those guys and thought, oh, I could be doing that. Because I always knew the difference. I always knew there have been things where we would shoot something. We did something with Liev Schreiber once, which was a parody of that show, Studio 60. Remember there was a show that was a very serious...
Yeah, the Aaron Sorkin
show. Kind of he took a West Wing approach to like a Saturday Night Live, and people were giving him a hard time for it. And we decided to do a parody of it. And so Liev Schreiber, we got him to play me. So it was, and I got to play, so Liev Schreiber has the Conan hair. And my favorite thing is we got me a thin mustache, and you could probably see it online, and waxed back my hair, and I played the producer. And I'm talking to Conan, and I'm saying, God damn it, Conan. Women want to be with you. Men want to beat you. You've got it all. The looks, the shot. And Liev Schreiber's brooding. And I'm talking about Conan in this,
What was this on?
It was on the late night show. I mean, we did thousands and thousands of hours of late night shows, and we would fill. So I guess the point is that for me, it's always been, I'm going to quote my dad, and I've quoted him many times on the show with this exact same line, but he always said, you're making your living off of something that should probably be treated because it's very manic and I can't not do it. And I do it. I just got back from a vacation with my wife and kids. I did it there.
Right.
They just tune it out. They're not interested. They, as kids, I would call my kids together when my wife was not around, and I would say, kids, your mother's gone and I need to talk to you. And they would gather around me, and they would look up at me and go, is this real or is this a bit? And I'd go, it's just that I think, and they'd go, it's a bit, and walk away. So it's that 24/7.
I love that. I love being just a total whack job with my kids sometimes, but it's such an unreliable audience. I mean,
yes.
They're determined not to laugh.
Of course.
Right? So
No.
it's pain for you and for me to do that.
But also I love it. And
because if you can crack them, you've got something.
But also it's as it should be.
Yeah.
If your children are laughing and saying, God, Dad,
you're the greatest.
You
You got a problem.
You have a real problem.
Right. They want something.
Yeah, exactly.